as you.
So we're live now. We call the County Commissioners Court session agenda for February 19th, 9 a.m. to order. We're under review and revision of agenda. Any
It's marked in red that.
mark in
You
red?
mentioned you needed to add.
Under Commissioners, new business, proxies.
That probably should be under old business. I
Old business?
apologize.
Old business?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to add those?
Oh, that
Proxies,
actually
yes.
is old business.
It is under old
It
business.
It is?
Yep.
Okay.
Usually I have them, yeah, sorry.
Anything else?
We're good.
Anything else you want to add? No, we're
No.
good. Okay. Consent agenda.
Did you need to vote?
Did you,
for the
you
rev-
didn't get a motion to,
Motion to approve the agenda?
The revisions?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended with the revisions of A and
Do I have a
B.
second?
Yes.
I have a second. Let's call the question. All in favor? Aye, passes. All right, consent agenda. I've read the minutes. I have no problems with the minutes.
I'm abstaining from that because I was not there.
Yeah,
One abstention.
I'm good with the minutes.
Okay, what was that, a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for 2518. Right, that's the ones that you're talking about.
Yes, and then the
Tax
abatement minutes, case number 38743, and also 410 minutes.
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept subsection B instead of saying all of those minutes.
All right, thanks, Tim. I'll second him. Let's call the question. All those in favor? Motion passes. Okay. Public comment. What do we got? Sure, Mr. Bush. Yep,
Thank you. Good morning. Eric Bush from Belfast.
thank you.
I would like to speak on two topics this morning. The first being opioid settlement funds.
Sure.
And the second, some comments about the revised budget that you're going to be acting on right after this.
Sure.
So just particularly for Brianna, but since the other two of you weren't here for all of the history of this, I just want to run quickly on sort of the evolution of the opioid settlement funds. Back in January of 22, the Attorney General of Maine announced that Maine had entered into a federal settlement around opioid funds, and that Maine's 16 counties and 23 of our cities would participate in that distribution in Maine that would begin in April of 2022. And over the life of this program, Waldo County stands to be awarded at least 1.67 million by the time the program comes to a conclusion in 2037. In July of 24, the Attorney General announced the establishment of the Maine Opioid Settlement Support Center based at the University of Southern Maine. And it was put into effect in order to provide assistance, support to those 16 counties and 23 cities and how to go about conducting their processes to distribute funds in the most effective way for hopefully the greatest impact possible on the problem of opioid addiction in our communities. In March of 25, the Maine Monitor conducted a survey of all of those jurisdictions to see how much they'd received to date, how much they'd spent, and what it had been spent for. And as of March of last year, Waldo County had received $481,000 and had spent $140,000. The report listed that in its detail that 2,000 had been granted to the Belfast Creative Coalition for an awareness project, and 138,000 was, quote, undisclosed. So at this point, Dr. Tim Hughes, who's a retired physician from Seaport, and Jay Davis, retired journalist, and I sort of set upon the task of trying to learn more about the money that had come to Waldo County and how it had been distributed and what plans there were for sort of an orderly process to receive proposals and make grant recommendations.
Question for you.
Yes.
Mr. Eric. So did any of those, was it 23 towns or 25? Is that what you said?
23 cities.
Cities. Did
And-
any of those 23 cities, are they named, and also are they receiving funds?
Yes,
They are.
yes,
Okay,
they are.
thank you. Perfect.
You know, some like Portland and Lewiston and others are receiving even greater amounts.
Great,
than
sure.
Waldo County.
Okay, and Belfast was included?
No, it was not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Not to my knowledge, at least, but
Wow.
they were larger
So
communities.
pretty much all the southern cities.
Yeah, and Bangor and probably
Oh,
Red
Bangor.
Isle and
Yeah.
places like that.
Okay, thank you.
Let's just clarify for the record that our population is like close to the city of Bangor for our whole county.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just want to throw
Yeah,
that out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
That even our biggest beautiful city is still relatively small to Portland
Right.
and Bangor.
but it does attract a
Oh, yes,
disproportionate
it
amount
does.
of the problem, unfortunately. So,
It does.
I'm just curious, you know, if as you keep digging into this issue, why Belfast didn't receive any?
I'm not sure.
That kind of, that's got my attention.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So over a period of several months, we ascertained that there was no process established here to identify priority needs, solicit and review grant proposals or make determinations about how the opioid settlement funds could be used most effectively. Two, there was no clear explanation of how the reported $138,000 was spent, although there was a belief it went to the jail and it could very well have supported activities that affected this issue. And thirdly, at that point, this is again March of last year, Waldo County was one of just 4 of those 39 county and city jurisdictions in Maine that had not responded to the Moss Center's offer of assistance. So thankfully that changed. And we were very pleased that last fall, the commissioners agreed to establish a community-based opioid settlement committee to identify needs within Waldo County, develop a process to receive.
Well, thank you too, Eric, for you and the doctor and Jim bringing that more to the forefront.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And an initial, as you're aware, initial ad hoc committee was convened by Matt Magnuson, the corrections administrator, worked productively with staff from the Moss Center to outline the establishment of a formal community-based committee of knowledgeable individuals and procedures to guide the grant making process. In December, Matt came before this commission and recommended the nomination of 8 or 9, I'm not quite sure what it was.
I think we're up to 9.
Individuals to serve on the permanent Waldo County Opioid Settlement Committee, and the commissioners approved their appointment. The Permanent Opioid Settlement Committee held its initial meeting in mid-January, supported by staff from the Moss Center. And as Matt Magnuson reported, it identified 8 priority areas of need, and organizations seeking support will need to address at least one of those areas if they are to be considered for funding. The committee is working on the development of a grant application and a scoring tool to rate submissions in a consistent manner. As I understand it, the committee intends to release a request for proposals sometime in March, receive applications in April, and arrive at an initial round of funding recommendations to present to the commissioners in May or June. After a 3-year delay and following much impressive work accomplished over the last few months by the ad hoc committee and the new city committee, it's vitally important that the process of requesting and reviewing formal applications from community organizations, then selecting priority programs to receive the initial distribution of opioid settlement funds be allowed to play out as intended. Both Dr. Hughes and Jay Davis join me in stating that in our opinion, it would be inappropriate for the commissioners to take the position that simply because they have the final approval when it comes to allocating the county's allotment of opioid settlement funds, they can decide to take $100,000 off the top to help the county jail's 2026 budget cover very expensive medically assisted treatment for approximately 20 Waldo County inmates now housed at the Somerset County Jail, before the committee has even released its request for proposals. The provision of monthly injections at a cost estimated at between $1,500 and $1,600 per inmate per month to help individuals withdraw from their dependence on opioids is a perfectly valid use of opioid settlement funds. The point here is that the Waldo County Opioid Settlement Committee should receive a proposal from the jail department and be the ones to evaluate that need in relation to all the other proposals they've received in the first round of submissions. The committee certainly can recommend support for the MAT program at a level that is in proportion to the other programs and projects which they wish to fund. One final point, when I spoke briefly with Somerset County Administrator Tim Curtis a few weeks ago, I asked how his county covers the cost of medically assisted treatment for their inmates. And he indicated that it was, quote, a combination of opioid settlement funds and grants. When I inquired about the grants, he indicated that a medical professional in Portland who is passionate about this issue of treatment for inmates has been successful in getting proposals funded for Somerset County and a couple of other Maine counties. He suggested that Waldo County contact her to see if she would be willing to write grants on our county's behalf as well. I've mentioned this possibility a couple of times, and I'm not sure whether anyone has followed up on that possibility. So
is that it on the opioid?
it is, unless you have any questions.
So just one factor here, the shot is $1,630.36, just for the record. I want to get right in the minutes because we're tracking to the penny opioid money and what's going on with this issue here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just pass over to the new commissioner here. If you have any questions, Brianna, do you have any questions on it?
I think to me, it's largely an issue of timing. And, you know, do we want taxpayers to bear the burden of that fully? Or if we thought the committee would support this, if we had more time, you know what I like, it's important to do things the right way, but at this point, we don't have a framework with which to submit this $100,000 as a request to this task force yet, because it's not fully up and running. So that's the challenge to me. I certainly want to do right by the intentions and of that funding and of the task force. At the same time, if we think that it would be said yes to, were this 4 months from now, it's a shame to not use it now, because the impact of this budget on taxpayers also has a negative impact on lives in the community, and poverty is also something that goes hand in hand with addiction. Not being able to manage your taxes and live in the community that you want to live in, you know, all of that goes together. So I'm kind of struggling with this because I'm in agreement with you. I would love to just have this be part of that greater thing.
If I may, I would say this falls into the category of the sins of the past.
Right.
We have been almost 4 years in getting to this point. Waldo County sat on this money and essentially did nothing for more than 3 years. Had this or something similar to
I
it
agree with your point.
been in place, we would have seen most of that $500,000 spent by now. But it didn't get spent because the county didn't act to set up a process. And the ad hoc committee and this new permanent committee have moved with lightning speed.
Sure.
I and Tim and Jay couldn't be more pleased about the work that they have done in a very short amount of time. So, you know, they hope by next month to be releasing proposals, and within a month or two thereafter to have the recommendation. So in the whole scheme of things, it's not a long delay.
Well, except that the delay of passing a budget is costing the county.
Well, Yeah, but.
and costing taxpayers money.
Right, but this is, this is not the answer to the county's budget problems.
Mhm.
This was an add-on of federal settlement money that's to be used for a very specific purpose, and it can be used for, the MAT program,
Mhm.
but it should be considered alongside, otherwise the committee is sort of emasculated by having been set up to do this whole thing and then have the commissioners say, but we're gonna grab $100,000 right off the top because we can. And I just don't think that's fair and appropriate, but that's my opinion. And, the pursuit of the grants should have happened the day this county signed its agreement with Somerset County. Somebody should have been in touch with the grant writer and said, will you write grants for us and get that piece going? Because that's another source of money. But if that hasn't happened, then we've lost time potentially in attracting another stream of money to help to support this program. So, but
Any other comments on this issue, Commissioner?
I have actually one other
Oh,
question
sure.
about Eric's comments. What was the, it was surprising to me to hear that the first expense was on Arts Coalition awareness campaign. Do you know what the results of that campaign were? Do we-
So the point of that campaign was because in the summertime, there's festivals here.
Mhm.
And that Belfast Creative Coalition is another avenue for them to make drug awareness with teenagers.
Mhm.
And that is their main purpose of doing that. I do not speak for that coalition. I have no ties to that coalition. I only know it from my time at Reentry.
Mhm.
So that is the main purpose of the Belfast Creative Coalition, is for them to bring drug awareness.
it so happens that
It's
the
no,
then chair of the commission
Sure.
was on the board.
I know that was a favorite cause of hers, like
So,
the
No.
story in the garden and,
now I could make the argument of when I was a kid having the DARE program. So there's that. So
Yeah. Well, sins of the past, I mean, there's not I certainly just got here and I don't think these folks have been here a huge amount of time, but I'm focused on here and now. We can't fix what happened before. We can certainly try to do better. But we're hearing a lot of complaints about the budget. I'm not hearing a lot of ideas about getting the budget down. And this is something that to me passes the test of, does it fit the purpose of the funds? It's just really unfortunate that it doesn't fit the timing of doing it in the exact right way. So I really do struggle with it. I agree with a lot of your points, Eric, and that's all I'll say on that.
So you wanted to bring up a second point?
Yeah.
oh no.
You got more comments?
For one, that was very polished and you did a great job. Two, this is where my inner asshole comes out. And I don't care for swearing because I'm just at that point in my life now. So I'm gonna recite a response that was given to me a long time ago because I had the similar stance that you do, Eric.
Mhm.
And I hate this response with a burning passion. But the longer that I sit here, the more I see it, and the more frustrated I get with it. I used to get told that the wheels of government turn slowly. And gosh, I hate that response. But I really do not think that we can fit the square peg in a round hole. And at some point, we need to have the conversation about having an actual administrator. Because you have three people sitting here with three completely different ideas on how to take on subjects. And you're right, there are sins from the past that did not get taken care of. And having an administrator probably would have made stuff done more timely. And that's my response. Go ahead.
Let's move on, Eric. You had a
No,
point?
thank you. I appreciated receiving a copy of your revised version 3 of the 2026 budget yesterday.
As of today, now it's version 4, but go ahead.
Okay.
It's a moving target.
So I burned some midnight oil last
Sure.
night. It was a bit challenging, and I don't mean this as a criticism at all, but the formatting of this budget and what it's comparing apples to oranges with changed in this round. So while
Yes, it did.
rounds 1 and 2 was comparing proposed budget numbers to 2025 budget, now this version compares it to at least
Actuals.
projected actuals for year end.
24 and 25, and that's
So-
a request from the budget.
Okay, well, I'm just saying it makes it a little mentally challenging to sort of say, where are we now compared to where we were? So.
There's still a column for the budgeted 2025.
Not
isn't there?
not in the new version.
Oh.
I had to go back to the,
It's been dropped at this point, because we have like 18 columns.
At this point, we're focused on the revised numbers. The department request, the commissioner request, and the
Mhm.
department request have been moved, and now we're just focused on that one revised column. The
Question.
actuals are still there for 24 and 25. We've increased, we've added a column for the average.
Mhm.
And we've added a column for increase and decrease between years.
How many times have you had to revise?
One too many. at this point.
Okay,
I-
just wanted to clarify.
I'm not being critical.
Let's stop here for a moment, please. Please be
Yeah,
recognized
I'm
by the
sorry.
chair, and let's not have cross discussions here.
Sorry.
I want to go back to Eric. You're on
Okay.
point, Eric, go ahead.
So, since, interestingly, the totals weren't provided for the estimated actuals for 2025. I
Okay.
had to do the arithmetic to add up all of that to find out how did the bottom line estimated actuals for 2025 compare to the budget for 2025. And I discovered that expenses for 25 exceeded the budget by at least $1,260,000. Could be more, but at least that. And that represents a deficit of approximately 10% of the overall budget.
How much of that was being pulled from reserves and other funds?
Well, probably, I mean, that's a point I'm gonna make, that's probably, the only way that's gonna get solved. Bottom line is, money is gonna be transferred from surpluses or reserves to cover that.
Point
Well,
taken.
we also selling of assets
Could be, yeah.
too.
Probate court.
So, it just becomes very, very clear that this county has not engaged in any meaningful amount of financial forecasting or planning. And so the answer repeatedly has been, oh, we can move money around. We can take it from over here, we can fill that hole. But not looking ahead, and particularly when you've got a major portion of the budget that is covered by union contracts, where you're making 3-year commitments. You know that that whole piece of the budget is gonna grow by X amount each year. How are we gonna fund that 3 years out?
So Eric, can I get you to pause just
Yeah.
for a second? You're exactly right. I agree with you. The county has been shifting money around for, let's just say, for a number of years. I don't know how many years, but they've been shifting it around. Budget to actual, that's what I look at. You know, when you're doing a budget, it's budget to actual. Revenue follows expenses, expenses follow revenue. Have done it for decades, and I know you have too.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the focus of this year, you know, is the reason that we put, and I don't know if we put too much information on the table or not. I mean, Brianna probably can speak to this point, but we try to put as much information on the table as we can to target the areas that we think that there's issues are. One is the health benefits. You know, where are we heading, you know, for going down the road? What is the strategic plan? I can tell you in my town, Winterport, I'm still on the budget committee, but 3 years ago, in 23/24, reluctantly, I took over as chair. They finally said, we're gonna vote you in whether you want it or not. And I said, okay. I said, but we need to follow the charter. And Waldo County does not have a charter, but in that charter, it said we had to have a capital plan. I said, where's the capital plan? And they go, well, I said, well, isn't the answer. Is where is it? And so that particular year, I called the budget committee earlier, 2 months earlier. I said, in 2 months, I want a capital plan. Figure out what it is. And I think that just goes to the point that the county has not had a strategic plan in place ever. And I think the county, and if you look back in the minutes, and I know because I was sitting in the audience on the other side of the aisle on this issue, they were clear. They knew I had experience in healthcare and health benefits. They said, we have a problem and you need to fix it. We're kind of at a loss as what to do with it. And then the other thing they expressed was the accounting issue. We have a software that's not supportive of the system that we need here. And you need to fix it. So I know I've spoken to you on this before, and I know I've made it public before, those are two things that we are spot on right now. And then the other thing is with this budget is with realistic numbers. None of this cost shifting going on. I think, was it last year or 2 years ago that there was a mistake made and it was in the jail budget or whatever. And they said, the budget committee said, well, we'll go halfway on it. You have to figure out the other halfway. To me, that's not good planning. Okay, we all make mistakes and for whatever reason it happened. But I think we need to get better at managing the taxpayers' money, period. I mean, there's been a couple of things that have been a little contentious here on the bench, that's been put on the table. I told this story, and I'll tell this story real quick. But, I sit on the left, Commissioner Parker sits on the right, and Betty was in the middle. And I think we got to a point where we were kind of getting close to agreeing, but I was still leaning to the left, and Commissioner Parker was leaning to the right. I told Commissioner Johnson, I said, well, you're in the middle. Well, she leaned quietly over and said, thank God. So I think, but the point is, we bring three perspectives here. And if you just look at the age, the experience level now, I think we've got a good spectrum here. It's all fresh, new commissioners. Even though myself and Commissioner Parker have been here for a year, I know that how to run a company, and I also do too. And it comes back to the numbers, the taxpayers' money, how we're spending it. We need to be more effective at how we spend this money and plan ahead. And that's what we need to do. Union contracts, plan ahead. I've been very vocal about this. The language in the 4 union contracts has to be changed. We cannot say self-insurers. We got $330,000 in the health reserve account right now. That could be one biweekly paycheck that comes in for the claims that we have to pay. So we have to be proactive in looking down the road. I have to give credit to the previous commissioners on this point here. The county has no long-term debt. I'm not sure of any county in Maine that doesn't have that issue. Penobscot has a bond issue they're still paying on. Washington County has their issue. Knox has their issues right now. I mean, so, the long-term debt issue, they fixed. Everything's paid for. So every warrant that we pass is really accounts payables bi-weekly. But we have to get better at what we're doing. Accounting system, we have to get better. You can't do accounting by Excel spreadsheet. You just can't do it. And so we need to get through the audit periods, get 23 done, get 24 done, get 25 out to bid. I brought this up at a legislative meeting actually this week, that we went out to bid with 21 auditors and one responded. For 20, am I correct?
30 auditors.
Yeah, for 21, 22, 23, and 24, we need to be more proactive about what we're doing. We're not getting reimbursed by the state, by the jails. We're, across the board at 14.1%. It's supposed to be 20%. But if you take that $20 million, it should be $29 million right now, plus a 4% COLA across the board for all the state. There is a lot to do here, but I think Waldo County with no long-term debt, yes, we were slow to the gate on the opioid funds, and now we're going like gangbusters on it. We want to make sure that money is spent well. I think one thing on the committee that I really want on that committee is a licensed practitioner, medical doctor, MD, DO, or nurse practitioner or PA that has experience with that would help them out, can be advisory position. These are the things I keep looking at, and I think the other commissioners do, is that we need to be proactive on this stuff, not reactive. I mean,
Right.
there's always I keep saying that the county jail's roof, that wakes me up in the middle of it, because I know if we go touch that roof, it's going to probably be $200,000, and that's a 50-year-old building. So I agree with you on your points. That we need to be proactive on this, be thinking ahead down the road. And I still haven't put all my ideas on the table yet, because I've been accused of going too fast. And so, to my advice to the other two commissioners, I think you need to be wearing sneakers. That's my 2 cents on it, but.
I haven't accused you of anything. I just got here.
Okay.
Please go fast. I'm
Oh, yeah.
looking forward to getting this behind us.
I would just second the conversation you had on Tuesday about financial cliffs.
Oh, yeah,
There are several waiting for
absolutely,
2027.
absolutely.
So between fixed increases in the four CBAs, which you can't under, unless there's a tornado that comes through here.
Yeah,
You don't have the room to maneuver on those.
I know.
The prepayment of a quarter of the Somerset
We're
County
kicking the
jail
can down the
expenses.
road.
So, there's no rest for the weary here.
There's
That
absolutely.
Getting through this budget, yes.
And that's the reason I want to go back to Commissioner Parker's agreement. I think we should have held fast on the 17%. Not because we went from 37% down to 17%. Now it was down to 14%. And I think we're hanging around 14% right now.
Yeah.
But I think the 17% was probably where we should.
It was realistic.
And just to clarify too, being fiscally responsible means telling people what the real number is. It's not just cut.
Yeah.
Because at some point you don't have anything left to cut, and then you have a cliff.
Well, that's not a cut. You're still paying for it. A cut
No, you're
is.
not. No, you're not, because you're looking at somebody and you're saying, you know what, you're fired. And now we're
Right.
no longer going to provide that service.
No, but the
Something you don't
17
have
and 14
service.
isn't really cutting. It's paying for things in other ways. For the most part.
Well, one of the things I looked at last night that I had not previously, I had done so with the sheriff's department. But you look at the salary increases in the corrections, every single employee in the corrections department is getting 20% or more as an increase
Mhm.
in 2026.
Mhm.
That's unheard of.
Mhm.
And yet I understand there is a collective bargaining agreement, but why the county would ever agree to an agreement that contains that kind of increase
Mhm.
is unfathomable to me. But you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
We're stuck with it.
And Eric,
I've taken more of your time.
yeah, you take a lot of time, but thank you anyways for your
Okay.
criticism and your comments and your input.
No.
Really appreciate it.
I'm going to respond to that
Good.
because I'm not going to let that sit. So, here's the thing. I can understand that the wages for corrections has jumped up. I'm not going to point out somebody else that's in the audience because I know that he understands through experience as well. But when you work a 12 and then you get looked at and you get told you're working another 12. If you want to go do that job, go do that job. I did that job for 10 years. And I did that job with people that want to kill themselves. I did that job mopping up shit. I did that job mopping up puke, putting people in restraint chairs, dealing with people that are coming in trying to kill themselves and kill my other officers. And when you get told you don't get to go home, damn right those people deserve to get paid well. And I don't care who where you live or what district you're in. I'm proud of the collaborative agreement that was made when I sat on the other end of the table. Because my people had no voice and had no representation. And I remember being told when I was an officer that we were not allowed to come down here and have a voice. And now those people do have a voice. So I will sit here and I will defend those people on that other end. Because damn right they deserve to be paid.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we're still in public comment. Yes, sir.
My name is Gary Hazard. I'm from Thorndike.
Yes, Gary.
Before at other public meetings, and I
Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity to speak. I won't be long-winded because the deference to time and efficiency. I have a prejudice. I'm biased. There's no question about it. I have a private sector mentality where if you succeed, it's because your costs are less than your revenue. And your company gets to go on and live for another day, another year. And if you don't, then you go out of business and nobody hears from you again. So I bring that prejudice to this discussion about costs. And Tim, I'm just going to speak to you. I appreciate, I'm a law and order guy. I appreciate law enforcement. We had some problems in Thorndike on my road with a citizen that was crazy. And thank God for the Waldo County Sheriff's Department that came in and intervened, even though the court system didn't do their job. That's another discussion, but
Right.
at least we had support from the officers and they were very empathetic. So I'm fully in support of law enforcement, but I have some questions. I mean, the sky cannot be the limit on discussions like you just said. And I appreciate your comments, but the officers chose to be in that field.
That's
They
right.
made that choice rather than to work in a factory. And so, it is what it is. By 20% increase, who does that? Nobody in the private sector can do that. You would do that selectively based on your personnel and people's ability and their performance. But nobody, it's not a peanut butter spread across the department or the company, 20% for everybody. That's
Now, you're talking about two different things though. He was talking about corrections. You're
Okay.
talking about sheriff's office. They're two
Okay.
different
Well,
departments.
okay, then apply my comments in general. 20% across a board, it's just, it may be selectively for some people, but not everybody. It can't be. The point is that, Kevin, to your point about the cost shifting and Eric's point is that there seems to be cost shifting, but not cost reduction. And so I can expect, or I can appreciate that cost shifting, say for IT, which has been neglected perhaps in the past, one of the sins of the past. Perhaps we have to cost shift
Correct.
the
Put the numbers on the
the
table.
upgrade into
Yeah.
the future, right? Okay, so I get that, but then on the other hand, healthcare cost proportion from staff, that kind of cost can't be shifted. I mean, the reality is things cost more in 2026 than they did in the past. And I work for companies where increasingly year upon year, the employees' participation in the cost of their personal health care rose. Why? Because the company, although wanted to be paternalistic to its employees, because it wanted to attract people to the company and not alienate them, did all it could do and still be solvent, but it had to shift some of the costs to the employees. And so that's the reality of life. And I'm hoping that that's what can happen here so that the cost burden to the taxpayers, the company, decreases or
I
at least
agree with you,
maintain, right?
Gary, on this point, yes. Just, and let me go back to your cost reduction. We eliminated or reduced positions and in this budget, and so we took out $408,201.92, just so you know that one.
You did?
Yes, and that was in D's, Com Center, Finance, IT, EMA, Facilities, and Commissioners budgets. So actual position cost reductions was over $408,000. So just to go to that point there.
And also just to bring up history too, you need to keep in mind that back in 2000, I believe it was 9 or it was 8 when they consolidated all the jails. We shut down our jail. We gutted our jail and we can never go back to it. So since that period till now, we have not had to run a fully functional jail, and this is soft numbers. We were told it was around 18 million to build one?
Oh, at least it's $800 a square foot.
Oh, yeah.
So 18 million compared to spending 1 to 2 million on boarding was what we saved since 2010-9. And now the reentry center, it's its own thing. You still have to have the building, but we own the building. So then we're housing and we converted to a reentry. That building can never go back to being a jail. It can't be. It's past, it can't be grandfathered anymore. So what we did is we took what we did have, they cut their employees, dropped them down to you're running that facility with 2 to 3 people. And so there has been savings there, and there was no new infrastructure made, and all the costs that was saved up spent into boarding out. I mean, so I hear what you're saying, but there's also history here where it was done. Now we're at the other end of that, and you do have people that are up there that are hitting tenure, and yeah, they're getting paid bigger amounts. And there's a reason why that they went and they did a CBA contract. But no matter what Kevin and I did, those contracts, and I stated this at the last public hearing, if we don't agree to them, they still run off of their current contract. You can't get rid of them. So if you cut this budget below a certain number, we now need you to give us money to fight them in court.
Yeah.
Either way, there's paying the piper.
Well, okay,
Gary, to go to your other point here, because I don't want to lose some of these points that you're talking about.
thank you, sir.
Is there more?
Is the IT budget.
Yep.
We did listen very attentively during the public hearing that the budget committee had. It was 2 hours and 45 minutes and 13 pages of documentation. Thanks to the county clerk on that one. That was painful on getting the stuff on the paper. So we did listen. So one of the constituents, like yourself, stood up and said, you know, that we're spending too much on some certain IT stuff. It took 2 months. He finally responded. We are looking at some reductions there, but due to the timing of software licenses, you know, and I actually reached out to another IT person and there's a potential of saving some software licensing costs there too. That's got my attention. Can we do it this year or in 2026 based on the timing of software contracts? It's going to be staggered. We don't have a fixed number yet, but we do listen, especially when constituents and voters stand up in the gallery here that, we're looking for pieces of the puzzle and we don't have all the pieces. And so that's the reason that we listen. And because to Eric's point, opioid. And once it got on the radar, then we picked up speed. It's the same thing with IT. And so we're looking for pieces of the puzzle to try to save money for the county. There's 90, I say FTEs, most people don't understand what full-time equivalent employees are, but right now there's 93. If you want to count it, they're not all full-time. So there's prorated FTEs down. But, if you look at the departments and county clerk, 1 person, finance, 1 person, IT, 1 person, HR, 1 person. We took an administrative position, which was actually part of the commissioner's budget, and pushed that person over to the 3 departments, which is HR, finance, and also the county clerk, to share that position to help reduce some of the workload. I mean, there was 2 people here in those departments last night till 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
That's routine. We can't keep doing this. And this goes back to Eric's point, pre-planning, strategic, burning out staff, calling in a sheriff's deputy on comp time, or calling in a corrections officer and we're getting hit with comp time. And then, it's a ripple effect. And so these ripple effects have been in place for a lot of years and trying to pull back. I talked to a lot of counties, and I think all the staff do here as to how are they resolving their problems. In the case of Penobscot, they've got to build a jail. They employ about 263 employees up there, and they have trouble boarding their residents or inmates, whichever is more politically correct. I always qualify that opinion. They're reserving at 2 Bridges. So there's not only what happens here at Waldo County, but what's going outside the circle that affects us that we have to deal with too. So to go back to your point, the IT costs, we're taking a look at taking a look at those inputs that we had, to see if there's a way to reduce some of the software licensing costs, because I call those hostage fees.
Yeah.
That's what they boil down to. You know, they're looking at subscriber fees or user fees, and, you know, we're sitting on our OS, system, our operating system, you know, that we know in 3 years, major upgrade, not a patch, a major upgrade. And the reason I get sensitive about IT is I've done IT. You know, I've actually fused fiber, I've buried fiber, I've done the RJ45s, I've gone in there and torn apart computers simply to get the job done. In my past career, the last company, I had to sit down there in the server room after work as the president / CEO. Okay, I'm going to move this patch panel from this Cat 45, back to this patch panel. Okay, run the software. Come to find out, that company had done a patch on their pharmacy software in over 2 years, and we couldn't run reports properly. So, you know, I will do, and I know the other commissioners will roll up their sleeves too. We're going to go back to Eric's point, strategic, thinking ahead. You know, what's this going to cost? Because that software licensing cost, I was astounded at what the six-figure number it could be in 3 years. And I went, you are kidding me. And he goes, no. And I said, we're going to have a further conversation rather than a soundbite on this one here to get that cost down or figure something out on it, because we're required to have softwares because of the sheriff's office, because of corrections, you know, and it's all by the Department of Justice. You know, their book is over 400 pages long. It's about the security aspects of it. So, but that's just.
I'm happy you brought that up too, because going back to the Department of Justice and the Corrections Department again, you are having corrections officers that are being trained and being educated, and they are so state of the art up there on the Hill. We were talking about this 10 years ago. We provide everything that the state does and better because of our community involvement. Back in 2014, because I was in charge of it with Volunteers of America, because you got to keep in mind that reentry center, that's ran off of the same people that run your 72. So you're really running two facilities with the same staff. It cost, at that time, it was $27,000 per resident to sit in that building, comparatively to the Maine State Prison with $69,000 per inmate. We were a third of the cost. And we were pushing out, I believe at that time, do not quote me soft numbers, I think that it was around 7,000 community service hours that were pumped back into Waldo County, which then that figure got times by a minimum wage, which brought that number down even more. So it's not just a jail up there. And I'm not saying that because I'm one way or the other. I'm saying it because I lived it. It truly is the most cost-effective way to do housing when it comes to correctional
Point taken.
population. And that was politically said nicely because I know that you're struggling with the identity.
Yeah. All right, going back to your public comments.
Thank you so much. Just a couple more points. One is that, so I appreciate hearing that there's a sense that we're all in the boat together, because we should be. And
We have to.
And for me, the overarching issue is, do we have too much government for our ability to pay for it? And if we, and I don't see how the cost or the revenue side or the payment side is going to increase. So we got to bring the cost of government in line with citizenry in Waldo County, the second or first most financially challenged county in the state of Maine. So to that point, again, I'm a law enforcement guy. I like law enforcement. It's benefited me even in Maine. But I have to ask, how many people do we have? How many vehicles do we have? There's a question that's come up with, does everybody have a vehicle? Is that necessary? Or does everybody need a pickup truck?
So here's,
Because we have to equip it, right? We have to equip it.
so I'll respond to that real quick.
Okay.
In the case of EMA, they have a vehicle out there, and they have I can't remember what the other vehicle is called. Dale, what's the other vehicle?
Command post,
It's a command center.
a mobile command post.
Okay, those are two vehicles. They were both purchased with grants. They're both 2005-ish.
Okay.
There is a Jeep out there, which is used by the EMA. That's 2018, which is paid for. So you just got the op cost on that, wheels and brakes, tires and brakes and stuff like that. In the case of facility, there's 2 trucks there. I think they're 2015. There's 2 employees, 2.1, 2.34 is the FTEs over in facilities, but they use 2 vehicles. We have 10 buildings here spread over Swanville and up here in the hill. So they have 2 vehicles. Deeds does not have any vehicles. Probate does not have any vehicles. Commissioners, we don't have any vehicles yet. I probably shouldn't say that. People are gonna take that and run with it. So that leaves in corrections, Matt, the chief deputies here. Matt, do you know how many vehicles they have?
I'm willing to carpool with you, Matt.
We have one with a bad one. We have one we can't operate. Actually, we have 2 we can't operate right now. We're using 4
Four
on
for corrections, and we have to transport, so just so you know, to Somerset. You know, and bring back. And how many on the sheriff's side? If you don't have an accurate.
I don't have an accurate. I'm gonna say like 18, 20, something
You can,
like
you
that.
can reach out to the county clerk with an email,
Comprehensive
and
list if you want.
we'll get that number to you.
It's not
But we also gotta add to that too, because we asked at one point, and we got a soft number on this too. We also utilize this thing called call sharing with Maine State Police. So the county covers so much time, and then at some point, state police will come in and cover part of zones. And that saves our county around $1 million, just by that alone. And I only can bring it up, I'm sorry, Matt, for picking on you. So one time I had to approach Matt back in 22, 23. I don't remember. I don't remember the exact year.
Without seeing it, yeah.
And I had Matt come down to talk when I was a selectman, because I was like, hey, Matt, there's a situation going up in my own local community. How much does it cost to contract out a deputy compared to going police department, because of a situation we were having in our part of the county? And the significant cost difference to have a deputy opposed to having our own police department, it was not cost effective at all. And we have to keep in mind that at some point, the sheriff's department is saving all of these little towns money. Do you remember the
I do remember that.
I only
Can
remember
I just
vaguely.
make one more comment about
Yes.
There's just
Direct to the chair.
Sure. There's a question asked about
How many vehicles?
about why the trucks versus an SUV or whatever. And I'll tell you,
Okay.
having managed fleet in my former role, when our pricing on vehicles is different than like if any of us go into the car dealership ourselves. So it's the car manufacturers have a lot to say as far as where we look, and we always look for the bang for our buck. The pickup trucks, for the type of driving we're doing, the trucks are actually cheaper than the SUVs when we've purchased the trucks. And we also we have lower maintenance costs associated with those, and a much higher residual value on those when we do go to sell them. So as far as value goes, it's a much better value, not just on the front end, but on the back end as well. So
And to pair off of that, I remember 9 months ago, we were talking about if we could have towns come in the fleet program, and we couldn't do it. And we get even a better deal because it's so much volume compared to little towns.
and we did, Mr. Chairman, when we did go to this to a leasing program, that was an effort to 3 years ago to reduce the ask of the budget, to simply
Soften the cash flow.
to soften it. There's no free lunch. We've talked about that all day long. Instead of creating a cliff, it's incremental steps to get, so eventually but it also allows us to put that residual right back in that line with working with enterprise fleet to do that. Some of the vehicles, like you spoke about the maintenance vehicles earlier, those were retired cruisers, frontline cruisers. So we didn't have maintenance, we didn't have to come up with a big chunk to get those. So we are trying to be thrifty. I mean, I could give a lot of stories about someone smucks a deer and I'm like, well, I've got one with a blown transmission over here. Hey, so and so, would you take the grill off of that and the fender off of that and put it back together again and do? I mean, I've pinched pennies in that vehicle fleet thing for years.
Thank you.
I remember one year there was a Crown Vic that had bad exhaust, and you could hear this Crown Vic going up and down every time we were doing corrections jobs. There was times where they really did do the work with nothing.
Okay, let's move on.
Gary, I just want to close by saying that I'm not nitpicking, but I'm trying to be creative because I'm trying.
Thank you.
With the overall goal of keeping costs of government in proportion and alignment with the ability to pay. So appreciate you taking the time to hear me and answer
Thank
my
you.
questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's close the public comment period. When it's a public hearing, it probably gets into a debate, so I'm closing public comment. Let's move down to the proposed 2026 budget discussion.
Interrupt, I brought Chief Deputy Matt Curtis down for the executive session, and I know he has other commitments. Can we please
Are we
move
time
executive
crunched?
session to now?
All right, so a motion to go into executive session based on MRSA Title 1 for subchapter 4056A. For an executive session, motion carries. I just saw some names pop up,
All the people.
waiting for the voice. Okay, this is Waldo County Commissioners. We're coming out of executive session and we have some action to take. I'll request a motion to be put on the table.
Motion to approve the MOU.
Motion, do I have a second? So I have a second. Any more discussion? Call question, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving forward. We will, here, I'll sign right now. Moving forward, we're gonna pick up some speed here. We took a little bit extra time for the audience today, which I have no problem. Let's get Finance Director, she's teed up. Let's go back to version 4 dated 2/18/26.
Thank you.
I've got my copy, just walk us through this. I know there were some minor tweaks. One was the audit, which is 1090. We took that from originally, just to reiterate, originally that was a $20,000 request for the FY 2025 audit in the budget for 26. The commissioners originally bumped it to $25,000. The budget committee took it and bumped it to $30,000. And then the last go around on the budget committees, they wanted to drop it back down to 20. But it's already out and that there's a 30% increase. So we put a $6,000 or 30% increase on that number at $26,000. Sure, yeah, have a seat. So we're at $26,000 on 1090 audit. What other items were there?
So Tracy and I are reviewing some of the positions that were eliminated, reduced, and or unfunded. And in conversation, we realized that we needed to revisit finance because the custodian position went from
Sorry, not finance, facilities.
facilities.
Commissioners.
Oh, did I say finance?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
Commissioners.
The finance facilities.
All right, we can pump the brakes. I'm gonna one pump.
We need,
you know?
we need Chelsea.
Okay.
Went from full-time to part-time and we needed to adjust that figure. It reduced a little bit.
Okay.
And then there was an adjustment with the county commissioners personnel because there's been a change in seats.
And we moved that FTE or that person and split it 3 departments. So let me walk through that. So deeds, that was a part-time position. It was union. We froze that position. And we're not appropriating money for it. Comm center, that was a union position. We froze that position and defunded it. We're not appropriating any money for it. Finance, we took away in the 26 budget proposal, the staff accountant position, which was full-time, which was recommended by the auditor. In IT, we took away that full-time position in the 2026 budget, which was to help give relief to a 1-person department. We took that position away. In EMA, the EMA director worked with us, and I know there was a grant-funded position that ended December 31st out there that went away. But there was also another position out there that went from 27 hours to 24 hours, and then 9 hours within those 24 hours are grant funded. So that was a reduction of 3 hours per week on that position. Facilities, we decreased that from full-time to 20 hours, and that effective date is what?
March 8th.
March eighth, for the
We're looking
record.
at a quarter of the year still full time.
Okay,
That's why we had to reduce that. 'cause we
and then
had-
there was some decrease in the commissioner's budget on the benefit side. So the decreases, and I brought this up before, by all those 6 positions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, or adjustments to those departments was $408,000, 408, 201.92. So just over $408,000 reduction. Okay, thank you.
I'm printing off the spreadsheet that he's looking
Oh,
at. I
sure.
thought I had them
I'll
here
pass it.
for you.
I had, oh, is this updated since the other
Updated.
day? Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Version, whatever.
Additionally, the sheriff sent down reductions of about $52,000. It was about $12,000 on the sheriff's side and another 42,000 on the jail side. My reservation about that is that with those reductions could potentially leave into tapping into reserves.
What was reduced, do you know?
Yes.
Here it is right here.
Okay.
So the sheriff in Department 1075, which is patrol, he reduced in 1075 $12,690. And there are different line items there. There's approximately 6 line items he reduced. Personnel, vehicle maintenance, dues, office supplies, training, and statutes. And then Department 1050 Correctional Division, he reduced that by $40,364. And there's 2 lines on that one, which is VOA reentry contract. He reduced that, the VOA. So, and then capital outlay by another $14,364. So that reduction that he went back and tweaked his budget on is $53,000 on those 2 departments, $53,054. So, I don't think he's created any real cliffs on those reductions. I think he's just
The only
squeezing tighter.
concern is on the jail side. Remember, he had an audit where you have risk in the kitchen. There was some compliance issues.
Oh, some OSHA issues.
OSHA issues. And so by reducing that capital outlay more, those potential corrections might not get fixed and or you would, the recommendation.
And
could
so
be
that means we
from
would have to
reserves.
go to reserves.
That is correct.
And I think that project estimate was 26,000. Am I
I thought it
right?
was 50,000.
The first request the budget committee received for the kitchen renovations was 75,000, and then I think I was like, how about half? And then he's kept going further with it, but it is concerning.
That was some OSHA issues.
There was,
Mm-hmm.
so him, making a choice to reduce the capital outlay where that project was is.
Can we put the capital outlay back in then and take the other recommendations from this?
You have the thing called serve safe.
Mhm.
So just reducing it does not make us compliant and we're serving people food.
So what do we want to put back in?
I think we need to have an actual number given to us about how much it's gonna cost to make this.
I know he was going for
compliant.
used kitchen equipment, which is a functional issue.
Right.
There was a ceiling grid. We have to be careful.
Tops were an issue.
Countertops.
There was flooring.
Yep.
Mats that were
Yep.
an issue. Ceiling.
Ceiling, flooring,
Countertop.
and countertops. And we have to be careful in that building because it's grandfathered
That's right,
on building codes.
that's right,
We start going in there, and then you're talking a fire suppression system.
that's right.
And that is nothing in comparison to $76,000. I'll tell you that right now. So, how do you want to proceed on this one? I gotta think for a minute.
I don't know a number to suggest. Can we call them?
I can try to get him on the phone.
You want me to go?
Let's,
Who am I asking for?
Try to. Yeah, thank you.
or the chief deputy, one of the two.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate how aggressive he has been in finding savings. But it seems a little too aggressive.
All right,
in a
while
couple
we're
of
waiting, let's
places.
keep moving on, Carrie. What else?
Overall, I think those were the other reductions. So we brought you 13.99 a few weeks ago. We're down to 13.64 with the changes that I have discussed.
Yeah, we've
Um,
gone, so just for the record, we've gone from 37% and change to 17.36%. We've gone to 13.99%. We've gone to 13.58%. Right now, we're at 13.64% increase. So we are really
With cliffs.
with cliffs.
Yeah, I don't
This budget
support-
is
cliffs.
I don't support this 13.64.
to get back to something that is semi-comfortable, you're back to your 17.36. And that's still with some cliffs there. I personally have concerns because you have departments that are just slashing, and we're gonna have to make sacrifices. Might have to go without some things. I'm already thinking that I'm gonna reduce my training. I have an office associate that I took in that needs some additional training. I know that I have sacrifices there. I have a lot of concern about our health benefits. There are some major cliffs in there.
How much do we have in the health savings account right now?
There's
Health reserve.
$330,000 in our health reserve account right now.
So that
I
could
do want to
hit,
say that January has been light. It's going to catch up to us. We're going to start seeing very large weekly registers. It's very possible we can wipe that out with a single weekly register.
with one single
Yes,
check register.
yes.
I know I know in that, let me just go back to, what's the department number? Health benefits.
2025.
1025.
2025.
I should have that memorized. right?
It was
Okay.
very relevant a few months ago.
So
It's on
we've
page
actually gone,
25.
we've actually in the 2025 employee benefits to the penny, our premiums, and the only thing so that $1,381,770.77 to the penny. And we've in there booked 3 family positions because we have open positions, not sure when they're going to be filled and not sure whether they're going to be single or married with dependents. So that's driven to the penny. The jail insurance program, when you allocate it out, is $461,880.15. That's to the penny. We took out employee offset, $315, $355.72. That's the premiums, 15% that the employee pays in. We took that out. Dental insurance to the penny is $36,087.61. That's all in your package, just so you know, in the gallery. So, you don't have to. And then the stop loss insurance, this is the actual premium, $585,759.36. And we increased the stop loss from 120 to 130 to save some funding there, which puts us at a little bit of risk. The weekly claims actual, thank you. Is actually $2,584,983.48. That's to the penny. The weekly, the stop loss claims overage is the one that based on long conversations with the broker, I think we've got over 200 hours looking at these numbers between HR, myself, finance, and the broker. That $426,000, 426, 76.84, $426,000 we're at risk for. And I hate to say what we're at risk for now. We've been lucky. But I agree with the HR director that in one hit, we could lose, we could wipe out the health savings account, health reserve account in one hit, in one weekly hit. So where's our other cliffs?
I keep bringing this up. So in the past, workers comp, let's go there for a second. So that has not been calculated correctly in years past, which has created about a $22,000 invoice for us. We're not calculating that into this budget. So we're at risk there. And so we'll at some point, if the budget's not passed, have to figure out how we're gonna. You know,
How
So
much?
22,000.
about 22,000 approximate.
Why didn't we put that in here?
Because we did not know the results of the audit. We
Oh,
did an
okay.
audit, we just submitted the audit yesterday.
Yep.
And so we're not gonna know the results of the audit
Mm-hmm.
probably for another month, but we have, in years past, that's been pretty consistent about that amount. So that is only the premium for workers' comp.
Mhm. So that needs to be in there.
Do we have, besides IT, of unpaid invoices that are coming up right now, do we have an actual list of the cliffs and the estimates that we think?
No, I don't have an actual list.
All right, so let's just start writing them down.
Yep. Is
20
there,
22 on workers' comp.
is there a number that you would sleep at night in terms of adding back in under the employee benefits?
For the employee benefits. I would say at least 250,000. Yeah. Because again, we can write that out in a single check register.
Tracy sleep at night money. And the rest of us.
So that number is how much?
So if we add that
250.
onto the overage, that would be, okay, you're asking me to do math right now. Okay, so we're looking at $676.76, $76.84.
But that's adding 250.
Correct.
Okay,
So
so
you're
I'm just
saying
gonna
250.
keep track of the ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
250. Eric, I'll go to you, but make it quick, please.
I just wanted a clarification on an issue that I didn't fully understand when it was brought up at the budget committee.
Sure.
But you will recall there was a lot of give and take about whether or not the county is establishing an accounts receivable for a payment from the stop loss, even though
Correct.
the actual check may not be received for, 10 months, 12 months or whatever. And so I thought that was the issue. And I guess I'm asking, what's the answer to that? Are we in fact establishing a receivable for an amount that we know that we are eventually gonna get?
So I don't have that paperwork real handy, but what was the, that was one of the assignments from the budget committee. To see what we received and when we received it and the time period between the claim where we had to pay the claim. And then when the stop loss actually came back and paid us back. Well, do you remember what that figure is?
It varies a lot between when we get the claim and when it's actually paid back.
What was 25?
25,
All in.
we had. Oh gosh, I just printed that this morning. And I
Yeah,
was
I
just
know.
looking at that.
Handed.
It was over $300,000. Yeah, I think.
About 300?
And I wanna say that those funds that we get back stay in that health
A health
fund.
saving,
Mhm.
health reserve account.
Yep.
Here it is. No, that ain't it. Here it is. I got it. There we go. So that's actually $81,744.84. Is that the number?
No, that's the one, that's the unregistered at the time of that printing. So
Oh,
there were still some, that was what was still floating as potential reimbursements as of November 1st, 2020.
Roughly 82,000.
Correct.
So that's the float out there.
Yep, yep.
Does that answer your question?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Okay. All right, let us move on here a little bit. Yeah, go ahead, Carrie.
We resonate.
More clips.
More cliffs. So your IT department, you're going to have about $90,000, if not more, that we removed out of this budget that will be coming back into 2027 budget, and that's primarily for Edmonds and Civic Plus. I believe when Edmonds comes back into the budget, it will be about $11,000. Civic Plus, I think Jason had said will be roughly 50 to 52,000.
Yes, 52.
Okay.
So
Other
52
clips.
plus 11.
So that's not necessarily something to put back in, but something to be aware of.
It is to
Because
be
it's
aware
gonna
of.
be, it's gonna be something we're gonna have to pay next
It
year.
will be an increase.
Yep.
You do have, well, it's not really Cliff, that's.
Up to 362.
The sheriff's office has a total of 21, $33,000 that potentially could lead to using reserves. These were adjustments that they made. I don't have the detail behind the adjustments and why. I just have a feeling that
$395. else?
um
That's not including the
Yeah.
collection thing, was a separate, that's corrections.
and then your jail, you do have some cliffs there with housing, medical. We used unexpended funds for those.
That's my biggest concern is the cliffs in the jail.
Housing is the biggest thing. If we're looking at what housing is 1.9.
Yep.
We reduced it down to a 1.6-ish. We used 125 out of reserves and then 200,000-ish out of unexpected funds.
So every 100,000 you're talking about moves that percentage?
You know, we talked about opioid funds, we talked about the shot that the inmates take, that's based on who's getting it. I just looked at an invoice that you will be signing off today. That invoice for 1 month was almost $22,000. And that can fluctuate based on the number of users.
So we're back, every $100,000 is roughly a percent, so we're back to, if you just round up 14%, we're back to 17% easily.
And then that leads me to severance, which is currently in the hole by $55,000. It's on that spreadsheet that I gave you. We have a potential 9 people that could be getting done this year. I just recently learned that there is potential of a 10th. We also have to think about if people do get done for any reason or rifts.
That's 450,000 right there. Okay, what else?
You have, if there are rifts that are done, you're gonna hit severance with unemployment, payouts, etc. So I'm concerned where we are with our severance account. And then the other is we have a negative balance in our IT reserve.
Yep.
So
So long and the short, this leads us down the road back to 17%. So I'm gonna make a motion, because I've been sitting on this for about a month and a half, and now we have 3 members. So for our budget committee and for our taxpayers, because I think this is really the cliff. We were presented back in November, I think it was actually before that, I think it was actually October, from Bob, which I know is not an accurate state evaluation of all the towns. But I think that this is the real cliff. So I'm gonna make the motion, because I was refused it when I asked just as a one person. I would like, again, to have a breakdown of all the towns and what their percentage is based on their current evaluation up to this date or when the next one comes out for our budget committee. And so that we can hand to the taxpayers of which percentage of the increase for which town is actually gonna be getting up and down. And show up the breakdown of the percentages on each of the towns that's going up. I've asked for it, I've been told no, but that's the motion.
I think, well, we got a motion on the table.
That's
Is there
right.
a second?
I'm confused why that's a motion and not
Because-
just like a thing that
Well,
we have.
I can tell you that, but
Yeah.
I can't tell you that until there's a second, because that's Robert's rules.
Right,
All right, so I'll second it.
Okay, so I asked,
So,
Yeah.
so it's on the
I
table.
asked, and
Yeah.
I was told no. And I was told that it would need to be a motion in order for me to get this, because for me, logically, what we're coming down to here is that there's gonna be either a 13 or a 17%, and our towns and our people in their towns just wanna know, if it's gonna go up, how much is it going up for my town?
So, okay, so.
Go ahead.
So I put the second get it on
Yeah,
the table
yeah.
for you, Tim. So here's the concern. Is, you know, when the budget first came out, everyone was saying 50% tax increase. 50% tax increase, and I don't know whether it was the if it was rumor control or it was the news media or whatever, it doesn't matter to me, but it was a 50% tax increase. And so we consistently, and I've had to consistently go back and say, here's the percentage increase. So this is what we're talking about right now.
Right.
to get that number on the table. I think, yeah, I think that, you know, you have to say things 3 times before people start listening and start at least believing it. The issue of putting soft numbers on the table and saying, hey, your taxes might go up is based on this number. You know, they're looking for more, a number they can sink their teeth into. I know for me personally, because I went to Chap GT, okay? At the 13.58%, I know my taxes are gonna go up based on what I pay on my municipal taxes. You know, you've got school, municipal, and then town.
County.
County, I'm sorry, county, is that my taxes are gonna go up $80.54 a year based on that 13.58%.
And that's
based on
looking at
Chap.
your town and your school bill, which may also go up.
Correct. So it's about $6.36, you know, or give or take in there. And then what I did on Chat GT is I tested the system. I put in there, I personally pay $4,500 property tax all in for all three of around $4,500. I put that in to test the system and it says my county tax bill is going to be $800. So I know that it makes sense the way I was testing the system in that 13.58%. And, you know, besides that, the $14,513.94, 945.14, that I was going to have a tax increase of about $81 a year.
Mhm.
You know, I hear what you're saying, but in order for me to agree to it, I want a firm number for the public to say, okay, we're going in with 17% and then plug that number in. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But to say, okay, now we're sitting on a 13%, a 13.64%, but we're thinking we got cliffs of $450,000, that, you know, there's too many floating numbers out there for me.
Yeah, but we can recommend whatever number we want. We get whatever they give us.
Well,
I mean,
not quite. Not quite. And here's the other discussion I want to have. Let me just get to that section. And I want to go to the public because they always love to pull up statutes. So I look right to you, Eric. But there is a statute out there, 30-A MRSA 706 for emergency conditions and 30-A MRS 922 appropriation of surplus funds.
Right.
If they don't approve the budget, then for health and safety, we can spend money. And I don't want to pull that trigger. I want to get the budget committee there because the premise that was set on this budget year was that we were going to put numbers on the table, realistic numbers. I said that in the beginning. We had a PowerPoint presentation for them. There was 2 companies here. We're trying to pull the, you know, to me, let me just clarify this. There's 2 sets of books here. And it's not that we're shadow accounting. It's because the jail was set up in 2007 under Governor LePage when they took back the jails. You know, that there had to be a separate company. It was never when the state gave us back to us, they never closed that company and put it under one set of accounting books. You know, so that's the reason why. So we put that on the table along with those 33 general ledger accounting lines to make sure that they're integrated. And I use that term because another staff member came up with that term. And I think it's great. Is we put those numbers where they belong so that we have accurate. Now, what does it cost to run the government?
That's right.
And that's what we need. But to give numbers out to the public that are soft to say, geez, you know, okay, we're thinking 13%, but we really lean towards 17%. It's too many variables.
But you got to keep in mind that it's going off of the practice that has already been presented by the budget committee.
Yeah.
It wasn't presented by us. We're giving them back their soft numbers at the rate that we're saying that we should give them the tax rate at.
Yeah.
We're not the ones giving it. We're the ones we're giving it back in a way.
Right.
Now I hear what you're saying. We don't want to give anybody false promises or false ideas.
Yeah.
But at some point there has to be something. So do we just do nothing?
Well, it's sooner or later, you know, we've got to get this, you know, for our past sins, whatever they may be, we have to get this straight.
Yeah.
And the numbers have to be accurate and the accounting has to be accurate, you know, and we just need to get to that point, and it's painful of how we're doing it.
As a taxpayer, I'd rather have a 17% increase this year and a reasonable amount next year than 13% this year and 30% next year.
But here's the
I would like next year to have a single digit,
That'd be great.
because
But it won't if we do.
if we do
this
the
year.
13%, it'll be double digits next year again.
but here's the other issue with
Guarantee that
when
one.
we say 17, we're getting people in their homes thinking, oh my God, my
My
tax
bill
bill
was
from
17%.
And it's not.
Actually, 17% of my tax bill would go up 17% in
Yes,
Northport. I think that's what it is, 17.
Right, and by continuing to say, oh, it's a 17.6 or whatever the number is, people are thinking, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
When really their town is only paying a portion of that 17%. And there's some towns with that, I don't want to call it fake because it wasn't fake, that budget committee gave us. There were some towns in my district, they weren't even going up a percent. Now, unfortunately, there were some towns in your district that were going up like 11. So it's like.
so if we went back to this,
We still have a motion about getting that.
We're in discussion.
we're in
Okay,
discussion.
we're still in discussion about it, because we're really not talking about that. I just want to point out, we're kind of talking about the budget.
Which is all part of this though, because here's the thing. We're gonna make a decision on a number that we're gonna send to budget committee. And my
It's
motion,
time for the budget committee to do a roll call vote
well, yeah,
and accept some of these,
And if
either all or none.
but if I was sitting on the other end of that table, I would ask for this information as being a budget committee member.
I have a unique perspective in that regard.
I'd love to hear it.
Thank you. So I have been sitting at that table since the PowerPoint presentation was delivered and the initial shocking increase. The reason people were throwing around the 50% was because that soft number
That-
was the county thing and then the jail
18
and then.
month, and then the 18
Yeah,
month budget.
and then the 18 months. So, for me, as a former committee member, I would rather have a budget come back and say, look, hey, we tried everything we could to get this number down. And when we did that, it was full of $450,000, whatever the amount is, of things that we believe to be actually an irresponsible decision because they don't solve any of our problems. They kick the can down the road. They create more problems for us next year. If you guys want to put these, spend 200,000 of unexpended funds from last year on jail housing, if you want to not pay for workers' comp this year, if you want to have 250,000 less in employee benefits, so that we're terrified that we're going to have a problem and we're going to eat into all our reserves, that's on the budget committee. If they really are so dedicated to the lowest number possible, if they want to do the right thing and have a responsible budget, I mean, my view is that we can't be doing this. We can't be pulling all of this. Can't be it. So I personally would not be. I could stand in integrity with myself to come back to them with a number that is pretty close to the one we gave them last time and say, look, we tried everything that we possibly could and they're not good decisions.
Having heard
And
that,
having a list of it so
Yeah.
that they can decide.
hearing that, Brianna, I think they just turned off the back porch light for you to come back, just so you know. You know?
When you get your county vehicle,
Yeah.
But that's a good idea for FOA.
All right, so we have a motion on the table, and the motion is to pass out, read the motion back, Barb, just so we're clear on this one.
To have a breakdown of the towns regarding what the percentage of increase would be estimated at. That's
off
why.
of the value, because there's a state evaluation,
Yeah.
an updated one that gives the most accurate.
Off of the most current state
All right.
evaluation.
And is that using last year's proportions that each town had?
No, well, let me put this idea on the table. So the state evaluation is now out,
That's right.
Yeah.
26.
That's right. I've been waiting on this.
So the 26 is out. So before I call the question, here's my thoughts, is I think, okay, the state evaluation is out. We need to decide which budget that we're gonna go with and submit to the budget committee.
Yes. And then
So
you have
when
your
I
stock.
call this question, I'm leaning towards not approving your request because I want to know the budget that we're applying towards it. And once that's applied, then I would probably agree with that to say, okay, you know, that
Then do a friendly edit to that it applies to whatever number that we agree to.
I love a friendly edit.
I'll work with you. Well, wait a second. Are those tennis shoes on?
yeah, they're on lace. I'll accept a friendly edit.
Ooh.
Oh, all right. You ready to call the question?
We're getting a Roma Joe's.
What is the friendly edit, please?
His
And
friendly
who's
edit.
making it.
So the friendly edit is that whenever budget we pass off to budget committee, that be the number that's used for soft numbers.
I'm putting a disclaimer in there.
I was talking in general.
Have to be recognized.
I was not talking to anybody, talking in general. That there be soft numbers off of the state evaluations.
Is everyone good with a friendly edit?
Because we still haven't even got to that number yet.
Is everyone good with a friendly edit?
I love a friendly edit. I'm very interested in what Carrie is bursting to say, though, if the
All right.
chair would recognize her.
Go ahead, Terry.
So you're talking about the tax assessment that needs to be given to the commissioners for review. I would like to clarify that I have not done this because our numbers change by the minute here.
Sure.
And I don't want to confuse the public any more than what has already been said, done, or add to that confusion. Now, based on the motion, I have no problem plugging in the numbers to give you those soft, but I will add a disclaimer to that it is subject to change at any moment.
Mhm.
I don't want the public to think that that is set in stone, written in stone, and that's what it is. And my fear by doing this is that the public's going to take it and see it and be like, oh, this is it. And then something happens and it changes. And then they come back to us and they say, well, no, you said this. That is my concern about doing that document.
Any other-
I appreciate that response better than just no. Just saying. So are we ready to call the question?
So is any more discussion?
I'm good with it.
Call the question. All those in favor?
Ooh. Perfect.
This is good. This is good for me.
I want to put things out that are.
I can't
more
wait to get this
impactful.
back.
Yeah. So motion fails on the table. I hear your point, Tim. I really do. That's the reason I ran my soft numbers to figure out what was going on, you know.
Gonna need your vote in 3 years.
So has there ever been a motion that failed, Barb, in your history?
Which motion? Are we talking about this? I mean, commissioners?
Yeah.
Sure.
Really?
Come up with a
Okay.
few.
Not very often,
do
but
some more.
occasionally, yeah.
All right, so was this your first official motion?
I mean, we approved the agenda.
So let the record show that the commissioner has voted no on her first official. Yeah.
Encourage folks watching at home to take a look at last year's tax bill, and if they are following the
Yeah.
minute by minute, play by play of these proceedings, they
I
can always look at
I-
last year's tax bill.
Tim, I
and figure it
respect
out
your
themselves.
position on this. I really, I get what you're saying on it. It's just having gone through, I think, you know, well, there's been 11 meetings of the accounting. There's been at least 12 meetings with all department heads. And then the revisits, I think we're pushing 50 meetings or more on the budget.
That's right.
Close to 30 that I calculated yesterday, and that did not
Really?
include all the days of work that resulted
So
from
over 30?
those meetings.
It's never happened in the history of the
No,
county.
Definitely not.
Never. So, all right.
This
So,
question, I appreciate you respecting it. I only brought them up at the end when we started bringing up stuff. Never brought it up in the beginning.
all right. So I've lost my place. Here it is. Here. Let's get back to the agenda.
Commissioner,
All right, so where are we at? What are we gonna put forth to the, are we back to the 17.36? There you have a meeting Tuesday.
To go back to 17.36 and just say it's the same, isn't there there are some things that have happened since then that are relevant. Like, isn't this 408,000 since then?
Yes,
So we're not going back to the 17%.
yes. We removed the IT and the finance. We reduced facilities and And then the change in the.
All right, so time,
commissioners.
all right, so let's figure strategically where we're headed now. So we got a budget meeting on Tuesday. Do you need time to go back in? And we have to have another meeting, let's say on Monday?
I don't think that that gives the budget committee enough. time to be
No,
able
and
to
that was a
review.
frustrating thing about being a budget committee member. I appreciate all of the like down to the wire, we're doing the best we can, let's squeeze every bit we can and get.
What's the
good data,
second
but
date that popped up that they're available?
It didn't,
It didn't.
24th was it. It was pretty well even on either side.
Is there a reason we can't plug numbers back in while we're meeting right now?
I need to know what numbers, how much.
Sure, why can't we just discussed a bunch, why can't we do that? While we're here,
If we can get through the rest of my finance report, you tell me what this is while you're meeting with other, I can work on those and get it to you by the end of the meeting.
All right, let's move on.
No, I need to know what numbers you want me to
Yeah.
add back
Numbers?
to the budget.
yes.
Yes.
The 22, the 250, the 90,
I don't think we need to add the 90 back because it's not this year,
90.
it's not an
It's
expense this
27
year,
issue.
but it should be, can we put a note? In that line item that we are expecting a $90,000 increase. For that in our next budget cycle, so that we're aware.
Which line item is this? Then?
It was Edmonds and Civic Plus.
evidence and
Just put
civic.
1035 in their IT budget.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and then the other one was back in on health benefits.
Yeah, I think.
You got that number?
So you want to add 250 back into health
50
benefits?
Back into health,
We're adding 22,000 back into what?
Workers'
Would
comp.
be
workers'
ideal.
comp,
We
correct?
can do 22, 25 would be ideal, just because I know there was a big gap between like when I put the quote in for last year.
25?
Yeah.
Is the commissioner talking about 25?
All right, so the 22, the 250,
I would like to put the opioid money away.
what do you mean away?
I would like to not use it until we have the framework from the committee to ask for it.
So you want 100 back in,
Yes,
put the 100 back in?
and then also the paying from last year's unexpended. For the jail housing, I don't know,
It was 3,
So I think we would want to treat that sorry.
Mhm.
My recommendation would be is to do what we're doing with the IT and expect that increase
Okay,
for 2027.
that makes sense to me.
okay, so the 100K goes back in. The 22 goes back in, the 250 goes back in. What else you got?
What's the 22 for?
Workers' comp audit,
Comp.
Thank you.
Oh, we're going 22, not 25?
correct?
Yeah,
Thanks.
we needed to do something with regards to, the kitchen renovations, because we're concerned about OSHA. And safety.
That was originally what, a 76?
75 was the original request. They reduced it. They wanted more information.
Put the 75 back in. That's OSHA. You know what happens when you renovate? You discover new things.
Correct.
Mhm.
So I got 250, 22, 100,000, 75,000.
My question is the 125 in reserves being used for jail housing, what does that leave that reserve account at when that's done?
I think there's like 295 in there.
Okay,
Okay, right now,
It's MCRC revitalization.
revitalization, 296,
okay,
rounding, call it 297, rounding up.
I see that, Ramona, yeah, okay. How do I feel about that? That's almost half.
The intended purpose of that reserve was to help with the spikes in the jail.
Okay.
housing.
We got a locked-in contract with them. It's gonna go up 5%, and we know that for a fact. The medical is the variable. But for 26, we're locked in. So I'd say okay on 26. What do you think?
Just leave it.
Leave it.
Okay,
There's no clauses in that contract that people can
No.
duck out, okay.
Well, there is, and they'd have, the back out clause for them is they reduce their prices for 90 days. I suspect strongly that they will not do that. And that's the reason I asked for a 5-year contract, is because the county gave them 30 days notice of years back when there was availability in the jail system. was Somerset and Two Bridges. That's when they bailed and went to Two Bridges, and so that's reasons for a little some parachute clauses in that contract to make that marriage a little bit more solid.
We did the Somerset, but Two Bridges did those.
I'd say that number's okay.
Okay.
I think we're okay here.
But I just,
So
I want
the
to
number I
discuss
worry
it.
about is the medical line for the inmates / residents. But it's 1630. We're gonna go 1711, so that's minus 1630. Was that? I think we're at risk probably about 20,000, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that risk.
The last one I had on this list was regarding severance. What have we budgeted?
We're negative what?
For -55, I asked for 236. That 236 was the 9 potentials
Uh-huh.
of
All right, put the 55 back in. All right,
So
so
you
what
wanna
we're putting
increase
back
it
in
to
is
280?
100K for opioid. 75 for OSHA renovations. The 22 for the comp. What was the other one figure you had, Bert? 250 for health.
22 for workers' comp, 100,000 back into medical.
Yeah.
And then 75 back into OSHA.
Okay.
So we're negative 55,000 in
So
severance.
55 going back in.
We asked for 236. Do you want to increase that to like 280?
It's 291 right there.
291.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I say let's leave severance what I've asked for.
Maybe we'll
Leave it?
get lucky. And less people will leave.
Do you have candles?
So what's the total number?
Already
that we're
burning the
looking to put
midnight
back
oil.
in?
What's that?
What's the total number that we're looking
So
for?
now we're looking at 350, 4.25, and 22,
What was the number for?
447. I was close, 450.
So there's around 450,000 I'm looking to put back in.
I want to find out what the number is.
Okay,
When we
so now you've got the numbers to plug back in. All right,
Can I
So
finish
we'll
off
let
with
you
the
do
finance
that.
report?
and so we're gonna, while you're doing that, we're gonna skip over the finance report, go to EMA. Is Dale still here?
Still giving up on us?
Yes, sir.
We up?
You're up. You're teed up for now.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a signature line in these or not, but this is 2 packets. that we emailed all of you. Was there a signature line on that? I didn't.
But that's,
Was there?
no, I just need approval to,
Oh,
it's all in the
okay.
computer, that's
Caught
it.
up on.
It's the
emails.
computer,
Get us up to speed,
yeah,
go to third gear.
yeah. So, it's a quick thing on this, emergency management performance grant, it's a grant that we get a reimbursement back for money that we spent upfront.
Okay.
So you can't, if you don't accept it, then we just don't get the money. We still spent the money up.
We've already spent the money and that's $67,000.
Reimbursement, and it comes in,
Was this the grant that we pushed off?
this was the one we talked about a couple of meetings.
What did we spend $67,000 on?
We don't, it goes into,
What do you mean? You said you spent it,
well, my budget,
your budget.
it's a reimbursement for my budget.
Got it.
It'd be great if every other department in the federal government would give some money back for the sheriff, for spending money, and
Yeah.
FEMA does that. They have a grant. It's been around since 1963.
This was the one with the language about the federal stuff that I was talking about.
It was language that came out from the current administration that said you needed to follow these immigration requirements, which is basically allowing communication with. And they also shrunk the time frame from 3 years down to 1 year.
Yeah.
And the state, along with several other states, went to court. It sat in court for 3 months. It's now been come out. It said the states, you've won your case. So now the FEMA was rewriting all the requirements for those states that sued. And they're ready to go. Of course, a few days ago, they shut the Department of Homeland Security down, so everything's on hold again. But when it comes back, whenever that does, hopefully within a few weeks, the FEMA will release the funds to the state. And then as we submit, usually we submit monthly reports, some states, some counties do quarterly. We do submit a request that we spent $6,000 this month on this stuff.
So what if they,
And they'll say-
what if they vacate this decision?
So, yeah, so I asked that question. Not only do I knew you'd bring it up, but also I had the same concern. What if well, in the case of the EMPG, it doesn't matter. The budget's already been set, it's primarily reimbursement for our labor. It's for Olga and myself, time that we put in. We're gonna do that anyways. This is money that we can either accept or we don't accept.
Right.
So there's not gonna be any changes on, we spent money and then we didn't get reimbursed, that type of thing. But they said according to federal regulation, if they've been approved and you spend the money, you commit it and you submit for reimbursement, and then it gets vacated, they still owe you for what was spent. You just lose the rest of the grant, basically.
So if we took the 67,000, so that language has been taken out. And we've spent the money and we're gonna get reimbursed the $67,000 and change. If they vacate the decision, it's null and void because we've already accepted the money, we've already expended the money.
Correct.
But if they vacate the decision, that language is in there. The language goes back in.
Correct.
That's the issue.
For me, it's not an issue. I don't have communications with immigrations and borders anyways.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a non-starter.
well, that's the risk.
So do we want to make a motion to either approve it or not approve it?
It's $67,927.63 that we get.
Can you say that again for me, Dale? I'm sorry.
67,000.
Yep.
927.
Yep.
And 63 cents. There's no loss on this. It's
Right.
just, do we accept the money or not?
I'm gonna make a motion for the MEMA performance grant that
That's true.
we approve the grant for $67,927.63. That way we can just move on and be done with it.
I'll put a second on the table for discussion.
Yes.
I go back to the vacate. That we would, okay. Is this a shell game? Are they gonna give us the money? We're gonna take it, and then they go, well, we're gonna vacate that decision now, and we're back to square one.
Well, what would happen was if let's say we have gotten $25,000 out of that 67, doesn't all come at once.
Okay.
As we submit each month, we get payments.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're a couple months behind, but we get payments come back in. If they vacate it, then wherever we
We
still keep, we just don't get any more. So we wouldn't get the whole 67, maybe we only get 40,000 of it.
And for clarification, you said it the last time we went over this stuff. This is something that has always been done, right? We commissioners
Right.
before us have done this.
there's always federal language in that.
Oh, yeah, every administration adds language, it's obnoxious and some of it isn't.
Right.
But we meet the requirements. Usually they don't even apply to us the vast majority of the time, the requirements. But it's a standard boiler sheet that every administration puts out on, you have to follow these requirements to get this money.
The federal government has changed their position so many times, on so many issues this past 14, 15, 16 months. It's hard to figure this out.
So there's no loss here. It's just how much of a gain we get.
Right. It's compliance.
Well, and again,
That's what it boils down to.
there's
It's
nothing that
compliance.
we're violating, whether we go with the old
No, but it's the
standards or
future.
the new.
It's the future. Any more discussion? So the motion's on the table to accept the funds.
Right.
Based on the change in the federal
The language.
language and the federal requirements.
But we think they can bring it back and it still applies.
Yeah.
Which means you could just say, well, we don't want any more money, but you still
At
took the
that
money that
point.
you had before the.
Do a quick, so if we did a quick grab, how much
Well-
do we get?
Well, we submit every month Olga's and mine timesheet, basically,
Yeah,
and then we get half back.
half,
So I can't submit for months that haven't happened yet.
correct.
I can only submit for what we, well, right now, because we haven't signed it, we're not getting any of the time for October, November, December, January, and February. We can't submit any of those sheets for reimbursement to get 50% back.
So we're talking 4 months right now,
Yeah.
5.
But they've gone back to
Actually,
3 years, so we can go into the next federal fiscal year, still submitting and still collecting. Matter of fact, because the monies have been shrinking and our budgets over the years have gone up,
So these funds could evaporate.
they could eventually go away during the Obama
Well,
administration.
this $67,000 could evaporate. If we didn't grab it now,
Well,
what we've earned,
right now, we're on the 3 years. If they were to vacate and we go back to 1 year, then October, the end of September is the last time we could submit a bill to try to
Yeah.
get reimbursed. So we definitely won't get the whole 67,000. We might get 40,000 of it. But right now, it's still 3 years, which means we can just go until it runs out, and then we start the next grant until it runs out. And we've been going usually 8 months before we run out anyways, because we submit more bills than we can get reimbursed for. So I don't see there's nothing here where
we
we're
actually
gonna
tabled
lose
this.
money.
We were waiting for you.
Whoa, yeah, thank you so much. I love that.
So we're not gonna lose money. I mean, we
Yeah.
may not get all of the grant. We may only get a portion of it,
Yeah,
but we're not gonna lose anything. You know, and it's not gonna cause more expense for the county or anything like that.
If they give us new language, new orders, and want to use your department as a tool for things that are not beneficial to the county, we could say, here's your money back.
No, you could say, I don't want any more, because right now
Okay.
we're under the conditions that are acceptable. Although, I mean, they're all acceptable, but because I deal with the federal government all the time. But right now, there's requirements that say we don't have to communicate with ICE. We don't have to, we have a 3-year period instead of a 1-year period. If that changes, you don't have to give any money back. And you've accepted the money under the conditions that were acceptable to you.
Great. Okay.
has everybody figured out where they're at on this? We'll call the question.
Yeah.
All right, I call the question. All those in favor of accepting this $67,000 based on the new language that the federal government has proposed, say, raise your hand. All those opposed? 2-1, motion carries. Thank you, Dale.
Sure.
I'd love to learn more about your opposition.
It's a personal thing.
Okay.
So you really want to know?
Yeah.
My wife's Hispanic and she's carrying her passport in her purse. I have grandkids that live and daughters that live in Laredo that are facing this issue every day. And I disagree the way that they're enforcing the laws of immigration. I think they've gone, the pendulum swung from the left to the right. It needs to come back and be centered. And that's the problem when you have these controversial issues. The pendulum goes right or left. It needs to come back. And we've lost US citizens based on this immigration issue, have been killed, period. I'm old enough, and there's an age spread here. So if you haven't figured out the ages, it's young, medium, and old. Not to call you medium, not to be disrespectful, Brianna, but I remember the days of Vietnam, and I remember
Medium.
extra medium.
I was thinking you.
I remember the days of Vietnam and the demonstrations and Kent State. I'm having flashbacks on this issue.
Yeah.
And I think they've gone too far on immigration. And when they came to Maine and they said that, criminals who had a DUI, just walk through any of our employees, probably not the deputies or the corrections officer, but just reach out and touch someone that's had a DUI. That's not a convicted criminal in my eyes. And so it's a sensitive soft spot. And maybe I should have recused on this one.
No, so I'm worried I have misunderstood what I just voted on.
Well,
I'm 1,000% with you, but I think
they
that's
can
not
come
an issue
back
for this
and vacate that
$67,000.
decision.
No, keep in mind, when we've talked about this the first time, those were things that were in there.
Yes. that we
So,
would comply with immigration.
100%, and I wouldn't, if that language were still in there, I would not have.
but it's not
included it.
now, and that's.
It's
the
not, but they can
clarification that I would
vacate
make.
that decision. They
Right,
can vacate it.
right, but we have the ability to not comply,
Correct. So
so.
there's a state statute too. So the
Right.
state has come back. I don't know where that, what number it is, but the state is saying they're not gonna comply too, but. You know, they're trying to fracture municipalities, cities,
Sure.
states against each other on the federal state.
At which point, it is removed, because if the state decides they're not gonna follow it. and
Yeah.
it gets vacated, the money won't get to the state and therefore won't come to us.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter what we do.
Now, keep in mind, so I'm in favor, but probably not for the reasons that you think.
Yeah.
So we're gonna spend money no matter what.
Yeah.
If they're gonna take out language and we're agreeing to a contract based on language, and then they go back and they enact it, I feel that we don't have to comply. But I don't wanna miss out on money, which then forces the
agree.
people that we live with in our community.
It's a tough choice. It's a
So-
tough decision. You know, sometimes it's painful, but.
Now, but I'm not saying that I don't feel his feelings on that.
Yeah, no,
You know what I'm saying? Because as being former law enforcement, we were always taught. I'm gonna bring up Jeffrey Trafton, customer service. You're there to provide a service. You're there to be a servant. And you're supposed to be there, and you're supposed to do it in a way where you build trust with them by safety. It's hard to build trust when you see a kid get
Yeah.
thrown into a van.
We have been stopped in Maine for immigration status in the past. We have been stopped. And so there is profiling, and, it's a very, one, if they just apply the statutes the way they should have been, we wouldn't be in this boat. The laws are on the books.
And as a former budget committee member, I disagree with it, and I would have voted differently if the language was in it. Because if I voted for it with the language in it, it would have actually went against how I felt when they wanted the commission to support the racial profiling with the unfunded mandates
Correct.
back in 23.
So there's my reason. I put them on.
yeah, so I appreciate that. Because of those reasons, I was concerned that I was misunderstanding what
No.
was in here. The language
concern
is
is-
taken out.
They can vacate that decision.
Right.
Mhm.
They can vacate, go back and vacate that decision again, and then what are we gonna do?
And then
We're not gonna do what?
we're no longer gonna take money.
Correct.
Okay.
We just stopped taking the money.
Yeah.
All right. I sense that the motion would pass anyways. I read body language.
I share,
No,
I
no,
appreciate
no.
hearing that perspective and it as an opportunity for us
So
to
here's
kind of. see
another
where we
thing that I've
stand.
shared, and I've shared this with the reentry center, because I got invited for soup and sandwich down there. They, if you get an opportunity to get down there and sit in their, their reentry group session, they asked me any personal things to disclose. I said, sure, I'll disclose this. I was homeless at 17 for 3.5 months. I understand what homelessness is. And so now they're taking that LD bill, I can't remember the LD number, but it's emergency shelter. They're gonna take 1% out of the counties. They're reducing that. We're all on board to give a shelter to emergency shelter, but but where does that money source come from?
We're gonna need more emergency
We're-
shelter. because of
They're
the
taking it
increased
right out of
cost.
the pockets of the counties and then saying, well, the taxpayer can pay, it's a direct tax right on the constituents in Waldo County. And that's the reason that just before you sat down, I was sworn in, Tim and I agreed to that letter to send to Senator Chip Curry, along with the sheriff, that we disagree.
We wrote one as well in Northport.
Yeah, how are you spending the other 92.8% of the budget? That's what I would like to know, and then 20% of that money actually goes into the general fund. So not all 92.8% of that money, there's 20% that goes to the general fund and then it just dissipates after that. So there's a lot of, standards that need to be addressed in the mandates that they put on us, because the jail, here's a perfect example. They're funding the jails about their portion of it around 14.1% when it's supposed to be 20%. So that equates to 20 million that's supposed to come to the counties, and it should be 29 million now with a COLA of 4% on top of that. I'll be at the State House, and for anybody who wants to come to the State House on Wednesday at 10 o'clock for appropriations to just stand fast that they need to fund the jails appropriately according to their mandates and their statutes, which are not in compliance with, they need to do it. So there's the political commentary from the bench today. We gotta move on,
Thank you.
guys. County Clerk, thank you very much, Dale. Sure.
Ooh, excuse me now. We might have covered everything. You did.
I did. All right, let's move on. Commissioners, old business. Finalize who serves as proxy on both the Maine County Commissioners Association Board of Directors and Risk Pool. The reason I bring this up is because Commissioner Johnson was actually on the Risk Committee. I moved to the board, and so there's some proxy votes that need to be taken care of unless I can't attend those meetings. One is, so the proxy vote is, so I'll put the motion on the table. First proxy vote is for the Risk Committee. I need to put a motion on the table. Is anybody volunteering for that one?
I will be a proxy.
Okay, so the proxy for the Risk Committee is Brianna. I'll call is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Call the question, all in favor?
Sure.
Sure, thank you.
I nominate myself.
I'll pull that string every once in a while, Rich. All right, the other one is on the Board of Directors for the County Association. I need a motion. I'll put a motion on the table to, is there any volunteers for that position?
That's an actual board and committee. That's not a proxy.
It's a proxy in case I can't attend that meeting.
Okay.
So is anybody
So
volunteering?
would you like to be a proxy for that one?
Nope. No, okay.
Volunteer to be proxies, and then if I find out that I really should not have done this because I have no time.
Okay,
They
So I'll
meet
put a
at the
motion
same
on-
time, right? They
Uh,
meet the same day, same time.
What, same day, same time?
yeah, so,
Gonna be able to go to all of them?
yeah, I'm doing it now, so. So, I'll put a motion on the table to assign the proxy to Brianna. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, and then, so we've done, legislative, the other one that's, on there is the legislative, committee. I can tell you that meets weekly. It's to monitor all the bills that are in the State House and to see which ones are supported or not, or just, provide testimony to. There's a lobbying firm that the County Association pays to do this. There's a lot of bills. I forget how many bills that we're monitoring right now. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it's probably about 20 pages. So I need somebody to assign proxy on that. Is there any volunteer? Legislative committee.
Not on a weekly.
So I need a proxy.
You need proxy.
I need a proxy.
Who's your proxy? Was Betty your
Well,
proxy?
Betty and I were, but yeah.
Yeah. I can't say that I'm gonna be available
So
for a
in the
weekly.
past, if there's no volunteers, the county clerk has been the proxy. So. I cheated Jenna too. That's okay. So,
Don't do as I'm asked.
so.
Is that
everybody fine?
during business hours?
It's during business hours. Is everybody good with that? Or Tim, do you want it or no?
These are the pains of not having a county administrator.
Mhm.
These are exactly the pains.
What days are they?
Let's see, that one, the legislative committee, that I'm co-chair of that one, so. If you want, just proxy, just take the proxy, that's fine. Or if not, Barb can take it.
But what days are they?
Monday,
Monday?
yeah, every Monday,
It's
What time? Do you know?
important
o'clock.
fast meeting stuff.
9 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
At least it's the afternoon. All right, I'll do
You'll do it? All right, so I nominate Tim,
it. I do that for you, Barb.
he's taking a hit for you, Barb.
I appreciate.
So I'll put the motion on the table for Tim to be proxy, so legislative committee.
Second.
Yeah.
Call the question, all in favor, motion passed. Okay, we're moving on. So next piece is Commissioners representative of the Communications Center Advisory Board.
We need somebody.
Mike has recommended, Jason Bailey, because he goes to meetings anyways, he's all involved, so.
Mike made some good, reasons for it. He's already attending meetings because of the new technology coming online. He works closely with the center and dispatch staff since much of the county's technology is housed there, and he's been great to work with, so.
So,
We should
Makes
ask,
good
we
sense.
should ask him how he feels about it.
are you listening, Jason? Will you accept the nomination if approved?
Okay.
Well, for those in the audience, that was a thumbs up, I think.
I think he was smiling under his mask too.
So I'll make a motion that Jason Bailey represent.
Thank you.
For the
Second.
center.
All right, call the question, all those in favor, motion carries. All right, so any new business, commissioners, new business, anybody, any commissioners got anything? No? All right. HR, I hope there's no executive. Okay, let's get it, let's put it on the table, let's move quick. I'm shooting for 11:30.
So first, we do have a promotion for the commissioners to vote and approve on. Michelle Hooper, she has been at the sheriff's office as an admin for a long time. They had an open full-time criminal analyst position, and she has been selected to be promoted into this position. There would actually be no change in pay or vacation for her being moved into this position.
It's a lateral move.
Correct.
Okay.
And if so, it will be effective February 22nd.
Is there a chain? Is she part of a union?
Correct, and there is no change in union.
Need a motion or just have some noted?
An approval for this
I'll
one.
make a motion that we approve it.
Second,
Call the question, all in favor, motion carries.
And all previous sign.
congratulations, Michelle.
I can tell you that since Tracy has come on board, they're always early, never late, which I think makes a statement to the employees that we're trying to make pay raises and promotions, trying to be on time in a timely fashion. So, thank you.
There's also an Achilles heel for us.
Yes. Okay, what else?
Okay, so we have discussed within this meeting how we are unfunding and freezing the assistant position for a finance director. So because that is a critical need, especially in the audits, they were saying that bank reconciliation is a big concern. I have here a contract employment agreement to bring someone in for 30 hours a month to be able to do the bank reconciliations to help with data analysis. This person is Liza Clark. She's already worked with us for a very long time. We know that she's been very excellent in everything she's done. So this would be the big concern in this one is since we have now cut it out of the budget, there is no room in the budget for this. So Carrie, I think you had a potential.
So we could take that out of accounting savings. That account has $26,872.69 in there. That will cover this period that we're talking about.
Correct. It's only 4 months contract for 30 hours a month. So we're
And
looking at
that's to get
$3,600.
pointed work done that we need done.
What months does that work?
That is from February until June.
I have a related concern, but it's not exactly this position.
Okay.
But we talked about the other day, the transition of the software and data moving over and when we expect Carrie to be in the thick of that. And that is likely to be at the time where we're also making a lot of demands on Carrie for the next budget cycle. And so I'm concerned that we're providing her some support.
And then there's a clip.
And then the support goes away, and then we're gonna be asking more of her. I hate that we're not following the recommendation to do a full-time finance assistant, and
Yeah.
I hope that we will include that in next year's budget.
So,
I want you to know that.
Carrie, you wanna
So
make any comments?
I do. The audits are behind and we need to get those done. And a huge component of that audit is getting our check reconciliations done.
Yeah.
Liza, when we hired her, as our office associate earlier last year,
Past life.
she started the process. And so in talking and trying to figure out like, what can I do or what can happen to help alleviate some of this? I said, let's bring her in. It's either pay $30 or $150 an hour. We don't have the money to pay $150 an hour. So this is our best option. We're saying 4 months. And then in that contract, it leaves it so that we can look if we need to extend that time.
Because we took an approach with the IT where we weren't hiring an additional person in IT, which was what was
Yeah.
requested. To say, oh, we're gonna budget a smaller amount for some contract work. And this is kind of a similar approach, but really very audit specific, not department overall specific.
Correct, she is actually being set aside from everybody to focus solely on that
Mhm.
project.
So the other thing too, to know about her skill set, she's, this is old school, but she's 10 key by touch on the keyboard, you know, for numbers. She
Mhm.
knows, she's excellent at pivot tables for Excel. So this,
She's pursuing a degree in
data analytics, and so, she is very talented. We're lucky to have this opportunity to get her back to the table to help carry out.
Mhm.
There is money in the county savings reserve account to do this, and I think it's money well spent. And if we get to that point, there's still money left over to continue. You know, this database conversion and stuff that you're
Yeah.
talking about for
Would her
county.
skills be applicable to continue if we said, oh, we'd like to do another 2 months of support for the department if the reconciliation was all done?
I think that's a discussion that would need to be had in
Sure.
executive
Yep,
session.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll put a motion on the table to approve this contract employment agreement between the county of Waldo and Lisa D. Clark.
I'll second this with discussion.
Second, okay, second for discussion. Discussion?
By continuing to do this, are we violating any other non-union employees' rights?
Not that I am aware of.
Good question.
This is just a contract position, a temporary contract position, same thing as what we're,
So we're gonna list this as a temporary hire with an expiration date?
correct, there is an expiration date built into this.
Yeah, agreement. That's a really good question. Wouldn't have thought to ask that one. Any other discussion? Tim? You're thinking, I know when you're thinking. I see smoke coming up, smoke signals. Are you good? Sure. Call the question, all in favor? Motion carries. Any abstentions or no's?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain, one abstention. Motion carries. What else, what's the 8/19? Six, there we go. What else do we have?
Nothing else from my,
That's it? Okay, thank you. All right, we're back to finance. You want to go through the warrants first? What do you want to do?
Let's just finish the budget.
Budget, let's go.
Okay, so I added in the 250,000 for health funds, 22,000 for workers' comp. I added back 100,000 into jail and the 75,000 back into jail. That brings your budget up to 14,968,570.14 for a total percentage of 17.14.
Originally, our 17% was at 17.36%. You know why that? Any reason for difference or, oh, I know.
The
The
salary.
sheriff, the sheriff.
Well, they had a slight decrease of the sheriff. You had salary savings with IT and finance,
Correct.
commissioners and facilities.
Okay, all right.
So there's that variance.
Alright, so by adding the 450,000 back in, we're jumping back now to the 17th from the 13th.
If we do it.
I'm gonna still stand in my position on this
We're
one.
gonna stand it.
I think that we should present the two numbers and let them decide. And give them,
The 17 and
And
the
the 13
yeah, present them the two,
13.
give them the cliff notes on it,
and B.
and give them the A, give them the A and the B. That way, we've shown that we've done the due diligence again,
Yeah,
give them the option, let them make the decision. But, you know,
this looks like we've spent 3 weeks not doing anything. When that is absolutely not the case.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
in their response,
Even so I would be like, you what?
so.
There's been a lot of blood, sweat and tears.
But again, their responses are gonna be. That if we go with a 13.64, what are the risks? And they're gonna want that. So we give it to them. And then, let's play the worst case scenario here. Let's say we go off the cliff and we're eating some ice cream.
Yeah, that's it, I agree.
Where are we gonna pull the 457
I'm
from?
with you on this.
So it's like, I'm happy you're finally with me on this. It's because we're wearing shoes. So we let them. What's the worst case scenario? Where are we gonna get that money from? Are we gonna pull it from reserves?
I think I
Oh,
emailed
we've
you
been-
guys with this idea a couple days ago.
Or are we then gonna go back to them?
We should. Well, I remember your, yeah.
Great idea.
I remember your thoughts on it too. Because here's another reason why, the mistake was made 2 or 3 budget seasons ago, on the jail. And they split the difference. And so going back to Eric's point, that when is this gonna stop? And there's just 3 of us here, there's 8 left, so they could have a split vote.
And I don't disagree with your, statement. Maybe I don't agree with your interpretation,
Yeah,
but I don't disagree with your statement on the statute. But put it in their hands.
So, maybe we don't call them A and B, maybe it's B and C, and C
Well,
for Cliff.
I believe that we were utilizing option 1 and option 2
Mhm,
at one point.
mhm.
Here's your option 3 and 4. But if worst case scenario happens, do we then
well,
go?
this is actually version
Taxpayer?
4 and now,
Right.
version 5.
Right.
This is version 5.
Do you go to reserves or do you go back and ask for more money? If we're at the worst case scenario.
So you can,
What do you think?
that's what I woke up the other morning thinking, why can't we wait and wrote to you guys about it? And I didn't know that had been something that
I
was brought
struggle
up.
with
Considered.
options
And
sometimes.
I still strongly feel like, and I'm happy we're on recording. I really don't think that you should make a vote on this.
Mhm.
Because I feel like that you are sitting on the other side. And then I feel like that it puts not only you, but I feel like it puts the board in a position where I think that Kevin and I need to make this vote on what we're gonna do and let you abstain.
That's her call. I'm not gonna put her in that position, that's where we
I just,
agree, but.
Yeah.
Once you take the oath, you're a commissioner,
Yeah,
period.
I just have a different perspective, having been
Yeah.
just doing that other work, but I think that that's valuable perspective.
it is.
And I can tell you that if I had been given however many, January 27th, a 17.36 or something % increase, and then weeks later was given 17.14, I would be very upset. So context to me is important. Whether that context is in the form of, here is our budget recommendation, and here's a bunch of notes about where we
Here's
see,
the cliffs.
where we see risk.
Here's what we put back.
Or whether that context is provided by saying, here's A and B. I think providing A and B and explaining what the difference between the two are, and doing that now so that they have close to a week to digest it is
Well, I've
better.
been saying all along, I know Tim's been saying he's been staying with the 17% budget the whole time, which I respect that. I get nervous on the health side.
Mhm.
We take a catastrophic hit. That health savings account is gone
That's right.
in one check.
That's right.
One check, it's gone. And so putting 250 back in there gives us a little breathing room. And based on this, even though we're in 25 fiscal, we're actually in 26. We have probably saved $45,000 right now. That the risk has decreased by $45,000. Every week, just say every week, our risk is decreasing by $7,500. I feel more comfortable going in and standing firm on the numbers.
If you want to, then we can present them a third option, give them back the 35.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, well, then, what's gonna happen is then we go to emergency statutes. There will become a point, if we hit the 80% mark, that we're gonna have to go and start, okay, we're gonna have to have emergency statute for health and safety, and that supersedes the budget committee's authority, which by statute we can do, which I don't want to do. They need, we have put so much information on the table. They need to review it and make their decision. And I'm at the point now. Version 4, which is 13.64%, and version 5, 17.14%. That's where I'm at.
All right, well, then let's move on here. I'm gonna make a motion that we present both option 4 and 5 to budget committee and let them make their decision.
I'll second it. Any discussion, further discussion?
I'd like to amend that motion that there be a notation of exactly what the difference between the two are.
So that's a friendly?
A friendly amendment.
Well, that sounds like the math is math, and so I'm okay with it.
You accept the friendly?
Yeah.
You've got it, Barb?
And the description, you said submit option 4 and 5, and the friendly edit is to add a.
Add those
description of each of them.
numbers that we put in the reasons. They'll be in the comments section on the 17. Garrett will put those back in, so there are actually comments in there. And
There
we
should be
can,
comments in there, but I want them to be
a separate
a
list.
separate list so that,
Separate
because
list.
there are about 100 comments in there, and I want the
Okay.
ones relevant to the difference between this document and that.
So you good with
document.
the friendly, too?
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's been accepted. Any more discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion's unanimous.
Can we see a copy of what you?
Version 5?
Yeah,
Can you give the finance director, like, today's Thursday, give her till tomorrow or something? That's a full request. It's been recognized. We have 5 days to recognize it. It's been recognized, but then there's 30 days to comply. We're working as fast as we can on this issue, and it's, well, if you give her till tomorrow, just to make sure the numbers are right, all that
I
stuff.
do have other tasks that I have to complete today too.
Yeah,
So,
so,
and I
little
am
breathing room.
one person.
So, but we would like to get it out to the budget committee for the weekend. So
Absolutely.
that they have time to sit down and really walk through this and so they do have time to, Gary. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Finance report. Finally.
Now that we've like completely depleted Harry's brain.
We need vitamin B. Anyway, for the medical thing, I want vitamin B shots included to give us a boost.
In this report, just so I can.
So we're back to line item 6, the department reports, which is finance.
So I'm gonna start with the beginning of my finance report,
Okay.
just to. For the minutes of the meeting, opioid settlement funds, the beginning balance of 12/31/25 was $501,666.02. We earned interest of $1,215.64. Ending balance for 1/31/26 was $502,881.69. And I apologize if I said those numbers wrong.
They're written down on the page we're gonna look at.
They are.
That's very helpful.
Tim, you ready?
And you already have one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you good, Tim?
I'll get one of you.
Quick motion.
Or you already said that to me. Okay.
I'll make a motion that get rid of 0 expenses out of the opioid warrant.
Do I have a second? Second, call the question, all in favor? Motion carries. Next.
Second item on my finance report is regarding mileage. There was a presentation on January 22nd for the increase of federal mileage. This has been tabled twice now. One's on February on the 22nd and on February 5th. You'll see my notes in front of you. The motion initially was made for all elected officials, which was commissioner, sheriffs, register of deeds, probate, treasurer, and judge. And I'm wondering if it was just intended for the commissioners, but no decision has been made. And I've provided a statute regarding travel expenses to the commissioners.
So you're referring to statute 51 under MRSA 30, Title 30-A, statute 51, subchapter 51, item A. The county commissioners may allow by majority vote the payment of all necessary and proper expenses and travel allowances to and from the county seat by commissioners who live more than 5 miles from the county seat. So that's the statute that's on the table that we're discussing.
Mhm.
Discussion. Silence is golden. Any motions?
I guess I don't understand what the motion would be for this. What is the question? I'm looking at a statute. I understand the statute.
I think the question is whether or not we're gonna increase the mileage reimbursement, right?
The mileage was increased for the employees already, but there was a motion on the 22nd that was tabled regarding elected officials.
What was the motion?
The motion was that there would be no mileage for the elected officials. Am I correct in that, Barb?
We get that, yeah, can we get that motion read back to us?
I mean, I certainly would not submit reimbursements for my mileage, but I would not want, I also live 6 miles from here.
Right, in the spirit of, in the intent behind that motion. The intent behind that motion was if we're trying to reduce costs.
Yeah,
And we're getting rid of all the benefits for the commissioners, why are we continuing to take a mileage check?
My argument, not an argument, but point taken is that, representative and state senators also get mileage too.
They get other benefits.
I also wouldn't want, if
they're
somebody lived in Thorndike and were a county commissioner and getting to Belfast back and forth was, a burden. I don't want this to be a position that's limited to people who have means.
I live in Unity.
You live very far away, I'm sorry.
And so do I, 25.1 miles.
We're put Thorndike back on my mind this morning.
So
I hadn't thought of Thorndike in a few
Yeah,
days.
mine's 26.
this would be an issue if we had a county administrator. I keep going back to that and keep going.
For 2027?
So, I guess I would disagree with you, Kevin, because
Yeah.
we're citing statute about commissioners, not
Correct.
administrators.
Well, that means less time for commissioners to be here.
Oh, that hurts my feelings.
We can be here via Zoom.
No, we can't. Well, I mean, technically we can,
Technically, yes, that's probably gonna happen.
and it should.
You might be on
Finally.
vacation or be away for a week or something, you wanna zoom in.
I'm so happy you've become flexible on this issue now.
Oh, yeah. I'm flexible on that issue.
This was during your finance report, right, Carrie?
Oh, I apologize. It wasn't on the 22nd. It was on the 8th of January.
Oh, no one around, not finance.
Sorry.
What have I done?
All right, motion, Tim Parker, Kevin Kelly to pay the federal mileage rate at 72.5 cents. Discussion, Tim said that because of the budget, he believed mileage reimbursement should be done away for everybody, or at least the elected positions. Employees must have mileage reimbursement for traveling. Kay Hunt asked if it was all elected positions, and if this could be done statutorily. Arsenault said that she didn't know, but the counties were advised years ago that if there aren't records of mileage reimbursements, it's hard to prove the insurance when employees had accidents while driving to county. Tim said employees should receive mileage reimbursement, but he didn't feel the commissioners needed it. He said he would approve it, but he would not be submitting any more mileage because of the budget cuts. Commissioner Kelly said he was not clear on the statute. Arsenault recommended researching because she wasn't sure employees could be asked to drive for county business without being reimbursed. Commissioner Parker said he had moved away from employees, said elected officials, and elected officials are not employees. Employees have the right for mileage. He felt that because of the budget cuts, they had an obligation to reduce the budget and the commissioners should not receive mileage reimbursement. Commissioner Kelly asked if Commissioner Parker would be willing to table this until receiving a legal review, and Commissioner Parker agreed. Parker said that the mileage rate would be giving employees was different than commissioners anyways, and the commissioner had been receiving higher rates than the employees. Carrie Hunt stated that mileage reimbursement has been the same for all at 70 cents per mile. Commissioner Parker said that he was pretty sure that they were higher rate than the employees because he recalled thinking that during a workshop. Commissioner Kelly asked if he could restate the motion to approve the new rate for employees. Commissioner Parker said that his motion was to approve 72.5 cents, and then got into a discussion. And he said he felt the commissioner should not be taking mileage. The motion was already proved it, that they were in discussion now, and they were two totally different things, unanimous.
So it was tabled. And
Right.
two, there was no
No motion made.
motion.
It was killed.
It was killed, and there's no, there isn't a different rate between commissioners
There's
nor other employees.
Correct.
Correct.
So it's the federal rate,
So it's the federal
It's-
rate.
which is 72.5.
Yeah.
Right. And it was reiterated again, and I'll do it again for the record, that the intent was, do the commissioners need to be taking a mileage check? Because we have other elected officials here, but there is a difference between an elected official and an employee of the county of Waldo. Those employees of the county of Waldo are entitled to that benefit. As an elected official, we're here to serve. So, but that was just clarifying again.
I think I would leave that up to the discretion of each individual to say whether or not they feel that they should be submitting mileage. But
So then are you gonna make a motion to go with the current mileage rate?
I don't see why that's even needed. We state that we give the federal mileage rate in an
Because we
increase.
have to go up to the new rate.
Okay.
Right? Wasn't that the
And we
original?
only did it for employees, we didn't do it for elected officials.
That is how I'm taking away from the minutes of the meeting.
Right. And that we were gonna wait until there was a legal review or whatever, but
Mhm.
if that's what you think too, then we should be making the motion that we go to that rate. All right, I'll make the motion that we go to the federal rate of 0.725 that's recommended. Is there a second? All right, then it dies.
I'll second it for discussion.
Yeah.
So just for the record, there's been some trips out of the county that I've made that I have not charged mileage for. And you know, when I think it's prudent that I do not charge mileage for. So, you know, having been on the private sector, I'll go back to your term. You know, and expense reports and stuff along that lines and company credit cards, I was always very sensitive to it. Specifically, you know, we have a number of credit cards here that we monitor, that are monitored. We maintain certain limits on them. We actually focus very hard on conferences, you know, for the staff. It all goes to networking, it all goes to education, it all goes to, at the same time, reimbursable expenses that are incurred based on vehicle maintenance. So there has been one instance that I know of that was over 100 miles that was on my neck. So I don't mind doing that. Personally, on a routine basis, if I'm coming here more often than not, I think I should be putting down mileage myself. You know, if I'm combining trips for personal and county business, then I tend to look at it very seriously and say, okay, the weight goes towards me and not towards the county. And I sign off on my mileage, on those mileage reports. I put my signature on that report. It's not just being turned in. So there are checks and balances for it. So the motion's on the floor, and read the motion back. Is there any more discussion?
I had trouble with the motion. Can you repeat it?
The motion was to go with the recommended federal rate of 0.725 as outlined in the finance director's report.
For elected officials.
I didn't say anything about elected officials. She asked me to reiterate it. That's what my rate, but we're already all. If you want to say it, if you want to make the friendly edit, you can, but you wouldn't even make the motion.
Okay, I'm trying to clarify. I thought we were speaking only about elected officials for this.
We are, okay.
I wasn't trying to
Right,
correct.
well, she was asking me to reiterate, to say it back, that was the motion.
Okay, that was the motion. You
We
didn't say
already- we
anything
already
about
did.
elected officials.
All right.
Is that a friendly edit? Or-
No, it's, I wish I had never spoken at all.
Okay, so read back the motion.
I'm confused by it too.
Mhm.
Move to approve the recommended mileage rate as outlined in the by the federal government. Period, not,
Period.
not. I don't believe.
Any more discussion?
Statement.
Call question, all those in favor? Motion carries. Next item, finance report, now to that.
Last time I talked about IT expenses that have been accrued, I was asked to put together a spreadsheet. I have done so.
Thank
And these are the ones that have been put across come across my desk. They are totaling, $188,970.91.
So these are expenses that we're sitting on because we are in the 2025 budget.
Correct.
Okay.
And IT has no budget, no reserve,
IT has no budget and no
reserves.
reserves.
How was Spillman paid for? Was that paid out of reserves or was that one that was spread out across multiple departments in last year's budgets?
So none of IT's was spread across any budget. So
Okay.
IT had his own budget at 1035, which covered salary, telephone,
Yeah.
office, and then travel. The Spillman was paid out of 0265, which was the information technology reserve.
That's really unfortunate.
How much longer can we hold on these, Karen? Can we table this till the next meeting? Which
I think
is,
that would be a great idea.
all right, so,
When we have a budget.
yes,
Like, maybe.
We have a budget.
Mhm.
Ideally, I would say table, concerns are that Spillman is used by multiple, police
Agencies.
departments.
and outside
agencies.
agencies too.
Yes, I would actually defer to Jason. I don't foresee them shutting it
I'm gonna
off.
make a motion that we pull this out of reserves because we can't hold off on it. So you have information that's protected information and what's going on.
And then we do have a credit card payment in there.
We can't hold off on it. We also use the triple I's and NCIS's as well.
If we pull this out of reserves, what account?
So you do have the option, I did some research this morning, and this is one of those situations where you could use under that emergency,
Oh, the statute?
the statute, your emergency statute, because
Based
we're
on the
talking about
statute?
public safety. And you do have the authorization to pay these and then, use undesignated funds. Thinking of audit, it's the cleanest. Thinking of the budget, it is the cleanest.
Yeah.
The
This is
only
statute.
yeah,
other recommendation that in my research was getting a legal opinion before making the motion. But anytime we spend anything for IT, or to pay an invoice, a motion needs to be clearly made by the commissioners.
So each one of these line items would have to be approved as a separate motion?
You
To
have the
track it?
spreadsheet, you could review
track
it, but
it.
I would track it. It would be very good to track everything that you are making a motion on to spend under emergency funding right now.
Point of order, did anyone second for discussion?
No one did.
I'll second.
Thank you.
So the statute, I don't think we need a legal opinion. I think that statute's pretty clear. It's under 34-A MRSA subchapter 706. And I'll read it for everybody here. A county must prepare and adopt a budget. If a committee fails to adopt one, the commissioners can sometimes act to prevent critical services from shutting down. While the statute doesn't explicitly create a blanket emergency spending power, Maine courts and auditors recognize that essential services, public safety, courts, payroll, IT that supports those functions may require temporary funding when no appropriation exists. But to stay legal, the Board of Commissioners must formally declare an emergency, The declaration must state the nature of the emergency. The emergency must genuinely be unforeseen and urgent. Documentation and minutes must reflect all actions taken. Without this formal declaration, spending would exceed appropriation authority, which auditors and attorneys will challenge. So that's the statute. So we would have to declare the emergency. We must state the nature of the emergency. Emergency must generally be unforeseen and urgent. And documentation and minutes must reflect all actions taken, that goes without saying. So the urgency for me is the one on these line items here. You know, when's the drop dead date that we would have to pay for these line items? And there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Obviously, like credit card payment, we're gonna pay the carrying fee. But when you're talking Motorola, Blue Mantis is refresh my memory on that one.
Blue Mantis is subscription for Microsoft Office, which
So we would lose,
Links and
when is
access,
that, so Blue Mantis, which is on 3 line items, when are those invoices due? It's $30, $3,900.31, 3931.20 and 299.25. Do you know when those are due?
they're due on the 25th
Of
of February. There is a net 30 at 1.5%. So you've been looking at roughly $63 in finance charges. If it kicked it for, if we go down.
Yeah.
Motorola, while looking at their invoices, I did not see any disclaimer to any net 30, net 15.
So I actually look at this completely different. I would make the argument that by us making or declaring an emergency right now, we're not actually declaring an emergency. We're doing a preventative measure. Where if most of these bills are coming due next week, we would need to have an emergency commissioners meeting to then declare an emergency, to then pay for them and not do it in a regular convened meeting, which would be showing that we're already preparing for it. It's a premeditation into the.
when taken
So I look at that statute completely different. But I'm just voicing that, just to throw it out there.
So you're thinking that this is just preemptive right now?
I think that we I hate to say it, and I know people don't want to hear it, but I'd much rather pay it out of reserves than have it earmarked that we paid it out of reserves, because I feel like that if we go right straight to saying that this is an emergency expenditure,
We haven't met the requirement.
I don't think, it doesn't sound like, but I'm not a lawyer either, and I could be wrong, but I would make the argument that we're not dying yet.
I think that Spillman, the $153,000 invoice is like, if a tsunami is coming and it's gonna hit in 2 days, then that's an emergency before it hits.
I hear you.
And the other stuff, I agree.
But we have the argument of being able to pay for it like we currently have been out of reserves with past practice. And we can continue to pay for it out of reserves. If we just go right straight to declaring an emergency before the emergency has happened, then it's not an emergency. But if we go off previous practice of just paying for it out of reserves, there's a difference. There's a difference between knowing you have a bad tire and choosing to drive the vehicle, and if it blows, it blows, and then knowing that you have no tire and you choose to drive that vehicle.
One of the problems that Penobscot County had was they went through all their reserves of $4.1 million. And
Right.
that's the reason that they are in, well, that's the reason they got turned down for their TAN, because they didn't have any reserves.
Right.
They since had their TAN approved by their bank, but they blew through all their reserves, and because of inmate / resident housing issues, rather than trying to get in front of it, they waited till after the fact.
We've been trying since July, August.
No kidding. You know, there's that $155,551.63.
Mhm.
There's not one reserve.
Yeah.
I am not touching opioid. There's only one reserve that carries that amount. And I'm not sure the language, we control the language, you know, but there's one reserve, 0262 Reserve Sheriff's Department, $469,000 that have that money, that kind of money in the reserve account. But here's the problem is, how are we gonna pay it back?
I'm not gonna support taking it out of reserve. But I also don't know, I could agree to saying like,
Well, then I would,
Wait on it,
well, then
wait on
I
an
would make
emergency.
I would make on an argument then that we wait till.
Yeah.
Or at least because I feel like that you have to at least give notice to the public. So we can't just like end this commissioners meeting and then say, oh, emergency meeting.
mhm.
So the total I'm getting, and I just rounded, so.
And we're allowed to disagree on the routes to the destination.
Yes, we are.
It's
For sure.
It's just the destination. We know it's coming.
All in reserves, and you can write this one down. The total I'm getting, and I'm off by a few pennies, so just take it for that, but it's $1,994,022 is what I'm adding up right now. So to me, those reserves are emergencies. I
agree with you.
trying to get those built back up to whatever amount is gonna be painful. We're going through the pain now on IT. Trying to get that $150,000 because we know for the 3 years down the road, and this is strategic. To have a major upgrade on an OS system. You know, we're trying to be strategic in one sense, now in the other sense.
I don't care how we do it. Do we want to, all I'm saying is, do we want to pull from a reserve now, or do we want to wait till next week when these bills are due and then call an emergency meeting? I don't care how we do it.
I think this is important context when the budget committee gets together Tuesday night to decide whether or not to vote on the
I
budget.
think on that list that we
Because
give
we could
them,
be declaring an emergency a day later.
correct, I think on that list that we give them. This list with due dates. And saying, and cite the statute, like that, the Spillman.
Mhm.
That we will declare an emergency based on the due date. And the operational health and safety issues within the county that this statute, you know, we're considering that statute, you know.
Yeah.
And we can be very strong in that meeting. But this is the road that, you know, we've done due diligence on the budgets, we're giving you options,
Mhm.
we turn over all the stones. Here's what's in the reserve accounts, and they don't have authority over reserve accounts, so they can't tell us take it out of reserves.
They don't have authority, but it is important
They
to
understand.
understand the reserve accounts as a budget committee member.
I totally agree.
And to understand the cost of delaying on these things.
I think Brianna, you also asked for the language of said reserves.
Yes, thank you.
So these ones are ones that
Thank
we have not changed.
Mhm.
This one is the proposed changes that went to, the state
State
auditor.
auditor.
Okay,
And I have received the letter back from the state
Yeah.
auditor.
Have not,
Have not.
okay.
Thank you. This is so
So-
helpful.
So before we get off this topic, so we are in agreement with this, how we proceed.
Well, there's a motion to take.
Or we're still in discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, to pay for reserves,
So read the motion back.
to pay for your reserves.
Okay.
Read the motion.
I second for
Yeah,
discussion.
it was,
right?
it
Okay.
was blanketed, just for opening up to any reserve.
Sure. Okay, so thanks. All right, let's call the question. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion fails on the table. Moving on. Next, what have you got?
My warrants.
Is this easy?
Are you gonna write fast?
Oh, yeah.
All right. And I apologize, Brianna. Why? I did these warrants and I will type your name in after the fact. I'm sorry, but you are number one.
It's okay.
So the first-
My signature is very legible.
my first warrant that I am presenting is the opioid settlement accounts payable. There was nothing that has come forward. No expenses.
Okay. I think we already passed that.
We already
We
passed
did.
that one.
Oh, we didn't sign it?
I did. I know Tim did too, but here,
Oh, okay.
everything we signed. Next,
The jail warrant. Accounts payable. Total expenses. It has $110,017.36. That's 1,00017.36. The payroll for 2/9 was $42,067.25. That's 42067.25 for a total of payables and payroll. The $152,084.61. That's 152,084.61.
84.61.
084.61, yes.
take a motion, Tim.
Motion to approve the jail warrant for $152,084.61.
Second.
Second, call the question, all those in favor, motion carries. Next,
The accounts payable for the county is $153,238.29. That's 153,238.29. Payroll for 2/9 was $173,158.70. That's 173,158.70. The grand total of payable and payroll is $326,396.99. That's 326,396.99.
take a motion,
Motion for county warrant $6,396.99.
we have a second, call the question, all those in favor?
Was that unanimous?
Yes. What else we got?
And that is all I have.
Wonderful. We're done spending money today.
That is it, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous? We are adjourned, everyone, thank you very much.